a Ford Edge has 4 wheels and says vroom vroom. So there is if you actually think you got hit by a car, maybe the Ford Edge did it. Maybe you should look into that. Like at the very least, let's suppose John's body was there. Karen Reed hit him 3 hours earlier. Whoever's driving that Ford Edge is an eyewitness.
Yes,
You
exactly.
were there. You finally have someone who saw the body. Get it in, because you don't have a single witness who saw the body, which is a problem for your case. Get that Ford Edge. Find that person. And the fact that they just poo-pooed that as, that's not credible. That's how I knew exactly how corrupt these people were. That's how I'm like, oh my God, they're worse than I thought. They don't care about any of this. Like, holy shit, this is legitimately scary.
But not only do they not care about it, what was scary about Lucky Lochran is how they turned on him and how they treated him and how they tried to twist him and do, exactly what they're accusing you of doing. Try to push him off the story, try to push him out of the case, try to make him, not maybe want to be a witness so much.
Yeah, when you read the transcript of Michael Proctor and Yuri Buchanan's interview with Lucky Lochran, 90% of it is them asking questions about me. And they ask him, like, so did he record you? It's very obvious that they're trying to have me arrested for wiretapping when you read that interview. If they're like, how did he remember what you said word for word? Because I kind of joked around and I'm like, I have a photographic memory. I said, you know what I mean? Oh yeah. And they're like, so is there a tape of him? Did he record you? Have you heard about this tape? It became very obvious that the point of their interview with Lucky Lochran was not to like figure out who killed John O'Keefe or look into like this huge tip. It was to discredit him, and more importantly, to try to use him to get a charge on me for wiretapping. So that's why when I confronted
the characters in this team,
outside of court a month later on September,
it's a good squad.
Sergeant Bukaki, I had my megaphone. I asked him, "Are you trying to get me arrested on wiretapping charges? Why haven't you looked into this footage?" And when I'm arrested on
range, I got a mixture of ranging up close, range, and hardcore up close.
So I'm in the back of that car like an hour and 15 minutes. I have nothing but time to think. And I'm like thinking about when I get there, I know the media is going to be there. So I'm going to have like 10 seconds to yell something, right? Out to when I'm doing my perp walk. And I'm like, what am I going to yell? And I'm like, I'm going to talk about Ford.
And I have a bunch of fucking Revenant relics I want to try. And since I already beat this boss with Raider, it's not going to help me further my remembrance anyway.
I'm on the courthouse steps, and the reporters asked me about that, and that's what I wanted them to do. It's like, I'm trying to, but the media is not taking an interest enough in the story, and they need to. And so that's kind of why I said that.
So, let's talk about you being arrested, because that's,
You alright?
That's a hurdle to clear, as a journalist. You had your, it wasn't exactly like the Susan McDougal kind of moment, they refused to give up the source, go to jail kind of situation. But going to jail for doing journalism is. It doesn't happen to everybody, but it definitely
presence,
speaks
rejection,
to,
lightning, feel way better.
The power of the desire to check love, and certainly nothing new in that respect about government power being wielded against people, power to charge people being wielded against the ones that you don't like, the undesirables, just for whatever reason. I talk a lot about just structurally the way the system works is it's just there to create and perpetuate a permanent criminal underclass. Like that is the point.
What's the wall look like that you could break?
Other than people that
you broke it next
people that can be looked down on, people that can be fined and restricted and bullied around and so forth. And it's just kind of like a free scapegoat for everybody in society to have. They now want to do that to you. What was that like?
It's, at first I kind of laughed.
Staff of loss, less likely to be targeted.
And I was also very confident at the time.
Raises potency of sorceries.
Any day now. I really believe that the feds are going to and then I'm like,
I want incantations with this character.
Obviously that has changed since, it appears that this federal investigation is not coming to fruition the way we hoped it would. So, kind of on our own in that regard. But,
I guess I'll take that.
I wasn't that worried about the charges simply because they're so absurd. And, and I'm like, but I will say
skills.
That after my interview with Ronnie the judge,
boost magic, let's go, okay.
Like, oh my god, that's on the
probably not going to use it, but I'll keep it.
Like just watching Jennifer McCabe live with such ease to everyone. She is the master manipulator. She is really good at manipulation. And like the fact that she could get on a jury and what if she convinces a jury that she is scared with me? You know what I mean? That she is. We all know she's not. We all know this is all an act and that she's a liar. But like, what if she convinces them of that? That, you know, this carries a 10-year prison sentence each one. That's a scary prospect. So
Yeah,
I'd be lying if I said I wasn't worried. I should be worried. You know, like these are serious charges. You know, but I have great attorneys.
You have a great team. You have a great team.
And I have a great support system. I know that there is an army of people out there. When I was arrested on October 11th, I'm in the house inside there, and I'm being arraigned, and all I could hear outside the courthouse is, the whole time. And I'm like, I guess everybody knows. I guess the word got out about what happened. That's all I could hear. Inside the courthouse, it wasn't like that. It was all the Alberts and the police were in there. And none of my supporters were in there. They didn't get the heads up like the Alberts that this was going to happen. So, yeah, it was, it was a scary proposition. I wasn't that worried the whole time from Holden to Stoughton. I was just thinking the whole time, like, oh man, this is awesome, kind of. Like, this is like, wow, they made me harder.
One thing I do with her a lot is just start fighting without summoning.
Or they can just, he's just some irrelevant blogger. He's a nobody. Now it's like, well, now you're arrested. Now you must feel pretty threatened by what I can do if you're going to this length to do this thing, because you're not doing this thing for us. You're not doing this to you're not doing this to any other YouTubers. Like, I was indicted for legal last March when I was with Will the Bearer, and you know, him and I were both clowning around doing the whole QX arms thing. The only one charged is me. I don't think either of us should be charged, but I did find that interesting that like, I'm charged and he wasn't, because they're not threatened by some guy from Tennessee, right? You know what I mean? They're threatened by me. And so it's very obvious that the people that they're weaponizing the statute against, it's really just me, it is because they're threatened, you know, by the audience that I have. It seems like it's like what's illegal about what I'm doing, according to them, is the fact that I have a big audience. Like if I had a couple hundred people listening to me, it wouldn't be illegal. Like it's like that seems to be what they're saying.
Yeah, your big crime is credibility.
Yeah, like he's got a big audience, he can wield them out. Okay, so the speech becomes illegal at what point? How many subscribers do you have to have to make your speech illegal? Like, this hasn't been defined. I mean, this is just so ridiculous and absurd, but I do feel emboldened by the Karen Reed acquittal because it's justified everything. If Karen Reed didn't kill Daniel Keith, which a jury has now set in stone, he didn't kill him. So he's dead. But he's dead. So somebody killed him, right? And there's no one else. Like, it's either her or them. And the jury said it's not her. So by process of elimination, them. And so therefore, it's like, who wouldn't go up to somebody who murdered someone and say, why did you do that? You're a bad person. You're a top killer. Like, that is a perfectly reasonable thing to do to someone who you believe committed a murder. Like, that is a reasonable, you should be outraged about that. You should want to say something to them. But they hide behind this whole, it's a privilege thing. It's like, they keep, Hank Ryan kept calling her a soccer mom in his thing.
I go to both,
because, you know, and there's a racial element to that. I'm sorry. Like, if she was a black woman from Roxbury, they wouldn't be calling her a soccer mom. Right? There's this picture of a white woman, a proper white woman from Canton with the Wagoneer, driving the kids around a soccer practice. She emphasized that so much during her testimony. But I'm just like, where's like normal mom? It's like their kids at practice, and like I was just checking out my kids' basketball scores, always with the kids with this school. Always. And like I'm just like a normal mom. Like normal moms don't murder. Like
normal moms tend to not use their children as human shields. So just there's that one out there.
Yeah. Only financial analysts from Fidelity murder people. Right? Yeah. That's the profile of a murderer, apparently. Like what the hell? You know?
Yeah.
Adjunct professors from Fidelity. No, that's a real dangerous segment of society.
Go for them.
So
go for them.
You know, so
well, you know, and it's funny because it does remind me, you know, Hank Brennan,
That's Crystal.
Hank Brennan, you know, he was picked for a reason, in my opinion, and you know, he was hand-selected by Michael Morrissey, and he's not an unknown.
Sounds good to me. The zone's coming in already.
I am of the opinion that
zone's coming in already. We could probably get the possibly the other church that's in zone after.
And ultimately, what it was is simply that if we can't win this shitty case, we're at least going to make them pay for it. We're going to at least make them, you know, we're gonna inflict some pain. You know, we're gonna make it hurt. And it really seems like that's the same thing that they're doing. It's the same attitude with the witness intimidation statute. It's like, okay, well, you can report this stuff, you can tell this story, you can raise a profile, but we're gonna make it hurt.
It's called the chilling effect.
Yeah.
It's like if you don't have, because other people are watching that at home, and they're like, well, I'd like to say these things, I'd like to do these things, but I don't have the platform Turtleboy has to raise funds for my legal defense. So I can't afford to say that. So I am going to self-censor. That's what they want me to do, is self-censor. You might want to say these things, but you can't afford to say these things. So you censor yourself. So it's not the government telling you you can't do these things. It's you doing it because you can't afford to. So you're free, but you're not like really free. Like, you're not free. It costs a lot of money. So that's effectively what he's done. And it's somewhat neutered nicely. I've spent no money protests, no more bowling hours, anything like that, as much as I'd like to do that. And so I contend that was all illegal. They contend that it's not, so I'm not getting my deal with that. I'm like, whatever. I've made my point, and we'll deal with this at trial. And then, after that, we'll see what happens. But for now, this is, we'll see. And I don't know if they're going to come after me harder now. I think Brian kind of indicated, it sounded like it was final statement after the verdict that you kind of blamed it all on me. And so this could go one of two ways. They could put their foot to the metal and say, she's a fool because of him, and now we're going to come after him twice as hard. Or they could say, they could just kind of lose their steam and say, are we really going to call Jennifer McCabe to the scene again? Are we really going to do this again? Are we really going to? And maybe they are like, why don't we just drop this for some sort of I don't know. No, nothing like that has been offered. But I'm holding out hope that eventually cooler heads are going to prevail with this and say, yeah, this is ridiculous. Let's just cut the shit.
Well, that would be quite optimistic. I know we were all hoping for that for Karen.
Yeah, but she had a dead cop right now.
Frenzy Flame.
A dead cop is bad for politics. You know what I mean? If you need a resolution for that. With me, there's no broken bones. There's no, no cuts, no bruises, nothing.
Sure.
And so it's like...
Yeah, I'm considering if I find another bow, just to take the bow.
Yeah. You were arrested. You ended up... How long did you end up spending in jail? Was it 60 days total?
Yeah, 60 long days. It felt a lot longer than 60.
I was going to ask what that was
I don't
like
think
and how
that
did you
works.
fill your time, and it takes me back to when
Spell. I don't think spell cast speed works for incantations either.
I guess most common I would get
I don't
about
know
is
if it
just how
does.
boring it is. It's not that people were terrified for their lives, or really anything like that for the most part. It's just extremely boring. And I'm wondering if just your experience of that side of the system has that changed your perspective at all on the folks that
Maybe
you
it
were
does,
in
maybe it
jail
doesn't.
with, the guard, the whole system, how all that works. What was that like getting that perspective?
They treated me like a child in jail. It was actually worse for me in jail because I wasn't even in people. He was in PC. I wish PC got 9 hours of prep every day. I got put in medical, which was hell. Medical is where they send people who detox. They send people who are like all the crazy people that keep you up all night because they're screaming.
Yes,
right?
the decompensators. Yeah.
Yeah, one guy came in and he apparently swallowed a bunch of heroin. On his way before he was arrested. He was going to jail, so he swallowed all his heroin, and he needed to shit it out, and he got in jail. And it comes up in the next day. And so they, he's in the cell next to me, and one CO at his job was to sit outside this guy's door and wait for him to take a shit. Then he would go through the shit, and he hoped to find heroin. And it smelled, I'm in the cell next to me, it smelled fucking horrible. It goes on. I just want him surrounded by it. People screaming all night long, and I'm sitting in the cell. And, first couple nights there, really shocked. It was complete shock. I'd say, I'm a high school teacher. I don't go to jail. I'm not a jail guy. Here I am in jail. It all happened so fast, too.
I was going to, have you anticipated any of this coming, or was it?
Oh, no. No. I'm not sure how familiar you are with the whole story, but he was dying for us. So, in September, before I was arrested, I started having I wouldn't call it a relationship. It was a sexual affair with a woman by the name of Lindsay Gattani, and she was a parent supporter, and I'm like, whatever, okay? So it was like a once-a-week thing. It wasn't supposed to be serious, and then came along baby Clay, what we call him, and so she pretended to be pregnant with my child, and so that kind of kept me in it, and I'm like, okay, and it was just messing with my head pretty bad, so I'm like,
sure.
What are we going to do? And so she's just stringing that along to keep me around, and then when I figured out that Clay wasn't real, and that Clay had survived a couple of abortions, she kept pretending to go to the clinic, and then went back there and telling me a week later I didn't go. It was like crazy. And I'm like, so when I found out that Clay wasn't real on December 9th, I told her, I'm out of it. I can't see you again, whatever. And that we got her cell phone since then, and the attraction we found out that on December 9th, she immediately contacted people who she knew were hostile towards me, including a woman by the name of Leah Genduso and another one by the name of Kate Peter. And they immediately put her in contact with Ken Mello and Brian Tully. And they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna get him. And in the messages they say that like we're gonna get him on these bogus witness intimidation charges, they call them. That we can beat him at his own game. We're gonna set him up basically and get him for this. And so we have all these messages between Kate Peter and Lindsay Gattani until December 14th. She meets with Brian Tully on December 14th. And coincidentally, right when she asks Kate asks Kate like about the meeting with Tully. What did Brian Tully say about my meeting with him? She asks her. And that's when Kate Peter's messages disappear.
Sweet, we were able to hit this church. That's kind of clean.
No Kate Peter messages. So it's like a one-sided conversation. And who touched the cell phones? Yeah. Nicholas Garino did. So all the
That's
Brian,
clean
as
too.
soon as they started
Hell
talking
yeah.
Brian Tully, the messages, and they're like, okay, so anyway, so on December 22nd, I think, after I'm arraigned and I was indicted and arraigned, and they dropped the protection orders against the McAlvers, so it was actually a big win for me. And I got a text message from her saying, I need to talk to you, okay? And I'm like, what's going on? And so she sends me a picture of what appears to be a grand jury summons. And I'm like, what? She goes, Brian Tully brought this here. And I'm like, how does Brian Tully know who you are? You're some Friday Night Fling. Like, how does Brian Tully know who you are? So that was like clicking me what was happening here, who she's been talking to. And so I tell her, I'm like, I'm not. You obviously were talking to me. Like, I figured this out. Like, so, and then she called me and she was crying and she's like, I'm so sorry. I was so mad at you. And I didn't, pissed and I passed out. And now I'm in a situation where I have to go from the grand jury. I'm so sorry. I don't think it'll fail. So she was crying and I felt bad for her, like schmuck. And I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. I forgive you. But I'm like, and then she's like, can you come over tonight? And I just want to talk. And I'm like, okay. And like, so she admitted everything. I'm like, can you admit that the baby was real? And she's like, no, that was real. So like, now I'm thinking, so cool, baby, like, what's going on? So I gotta go over there. I don't have to, but it's the fitness thing about me. So I go over there and I go, I don't feel comfortable going in your apartment. Brian Tully's in your apartment. And I don't trust that mofo. So I want to sit in this conference area. Okay, we went in this conference area of a luxury apartment that she lives in. Thanks to the government, so we subsidize that. And we're sitting in there, and she's got 4 kids in her apartment, and we're sleeping. And she's invited me there because she wants to show me all of her communications with Brian Tully, with Big Peter, and kind of show how they've been using her. And I told her basically that like, she's like, I can afford a lawyer. I don't know what to do. I go, I'll help you out. Don't worry. Like, I'm sorry. I know you're regretful. I was being a nice guy about it. And so she starts showing me her phone. And then her son keeps calling. And it's something 12. The son keeps calling. And I'm like, that's never happened. And then he's like, can you come back? The son keeps saying, can you come back? And now I know this whole thing is got her son to do this to get me back in the apartment. So I agreed to go in the apartment with no cameras and everything outside. And now I know that was we've also seen in the police report that when we were in the common area, there was like a bathroom where we were outside the conference in this bathroom there. That she had gone into the bathroom and she called Tully and Mello, and she then came out and had her phone on, and they were listening in on our conversation. I know it's wiretapping.
Wiretapping, yeah, really.
Yeah, so they tried to do that, and they don't tell her at any point. She's dangerous. Don't go in your apartment with her. So they tell her, they want me in there. They want
Of course, she was paid. That was the whole point.
Right. Yeah. And so we go in there and she showed me all of these messages. And I'm like, holy
Dragon
shit.
wound
It was
upon
like
dragon
like,
companion. Communion, anyway.
Oh my God. Thank you for showing me this. I was actually like, and she was like,
oh,
I'm
I
so
do actually
sorry.
do have a
She kept
dragon
saying,
companion.
love you. And then she wanted me to sleep over. Okay. And I'm like, it's not Christmas Eve at this point. I can't sleep over. I have to go home.
I guess we'll take it. We are running. We are running Revenant.
She's like, I don't even
It still feels weird to pick that
though. If I had stayed over that night and gone like, I love you and I would spend the rest of my life with you, she probably wouldn't have called the cops. Maybe what happened down the road somewhere, but not that way. So she does not take no for an answer. And she's not like my leader. So she starts taking abortion pills because she has some lying around for some reason. And I'm like, Lindsay, you're not pregnant. But like if you take
hopefully we can hit
it will cause
the cave on the way.
It'll be like, so it's like, so she's having this fake abortion in temper of a fake baby. And I'm like, this is fucking fake. I have a baby. And she's like, you can't believe me. And I start recording her report. And she wakes up at 4 at 3:30 in the morning and starts putting posts on her feet. And the 5-year-old comes out.
The friendly flame one seems to be like a good hit for this, though.
Like, he looks confused, like, what's going on? It's the middle of the night, and I'm like, okay, this is, I will stay. You want me to stay? I am not, this is getting out of control and dangerous now for the children. I will stay if that's what, I was just trying to calm her down. So I sit on the couch for a couple more hours, and I wait for her to fall asleep. She falls asleep at like 5 a.m. And I'm like, okay, now I can get out of it. So I leave, and I'm so tired on my way home, right, that I fall asleep behind the wheel of my car on 495, and I wake up after I hit a guardrail. I'm like, God woke me up. I'm like, but it's like one of these newer cars that like doesn't let you crash like too bad. And then like on stock, like some guy in Florida for Lexus is talking to me, driving me home. I barely made it back. The car's had $12,000 worth of damage.
Magma worm,
So
okay.
anyway, I was messed up from that. And then we're going to my sister's house for Christmas Eve that day. I got a call from the police department, and they said, "Oh yeah, we just cleaned your house. We have something for you. Can you come down to this station again? You don't tell me what it is." I'm like, okay, I'll be in later. I have no idea what this is. Then I get another call from a fire department. He says, "Don't go home. The police officer wants you to arrest you." And I'm like, "Warren, I'm arrested." And they go, "He's threatened out of the." I'm like, "Oh my God!" She said, "Holy shit! Oh my God!" And
Ooh, madness kind of works against me.
and there's a warrant out for my arrest, and then I'm watching the news. It's Christmas Eve turns into Christmas, and I'm watching more and more media outlets start to report.
Madness burns your FP.
So now I'm watching the news, and I'm talking to Fredo about this, and I'm like, we make plans for the 26th, which is my birthday, and I'm going to go, and we are going to try to get to the courthouse at 9 o'clock, to quietly turn myself in, and hopefully get this process and go home. With any media gets there, nothing. So we go together, they couldn't text me at like 8:45 that day. He said, "Don't come to the courthouse." Well, I'm probably sleeping in the upstairs. We're in that police. So change of plans. We're going to go to the Medfield Police Department, turn yourself in, and then I'm not waiting for the car to do it that way. And so I go to Medfield Police around noon. I got arrested. They book me, and then they start driving from Medfield to Dedham, which is like a half hour away. And at this point, I've alerted people to this. They know what's happening.
Ooh.
And, and I arrived there.
Hell yeah.
Homie, what are you gonna do with that?
It improves incantations.
I'm like, I can't focus my fucking car. It's day after Christmas. I'm like, no way.
Why do you want it?
Luckily, we had a tape.
No, I
And
dropped
because
it.
had a tape
I was
the night
thinking the
before.
Raiders were gonna
And
take
on the
it.
tape is the woman
Sure
yelling and telling her kids, "We're gonna get in the car. We're gonna go to Aiden's house," and all this. In my opinion, it sounded horrible for her. But if you know the whole story, it also sounds like a woman in distress. So like, it's just, you know what I mean? So it's like, and so I think that's how the judge took it. Like, this is he's upset about something. You must have done something for her.
You must have done it, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm about to
The last time.
crack
Also
some
in
heads
jail
with Revenant right now.
There's another guy, the last boyfriend, who she also said hit her, and also violated the restraining order. Like, it's a crazy story.
Yeah.
He was Frank.
I've heard this story more times than I can count.
Okay, so
Not yours personal. Not yours personally. I just mean the story of the girl who, always has that complaint.
It's that Revenant build right here, though.
Well, I later found out
Colossal weapon.
who I defended after he got out of jail, that he had a tape in July of 2023. She had an order on him, and she put a tractor on his car and found him in the parking lot in Walpole, and got into his car, and then refused to get out, and he taped it. And so there's a 2-minute video of him saying, "Lindsay, get out of my back. I gotta go. Let's get out of my car." She's like, "No, fuck you, you back piece of shit. Fuck you, blah, 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 I want my money, blah, blah." And she's like, and then the cops arrive, and he gets arrested for violating a restraining order because he was supposed to apparently abandon his car and just leave. Like, she sat in his, and I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" So this is her MO. So anyway, I go in front of the judge and he revokes my bail. And I'm like, "Oh my God." And I'm like looking at Tim, like, "Is there anything you can do?" He's like, "You're going to jail." I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm going to fucking jail." So I was just shocked, just complete shock. And I went to jail. They bring me to medical. I was eating much all day. I'm tired. It's a long 48 hours, and they bring me to medical, and the CEO there, really nice lady, and she tells me.
Yo, incantations kind of go hard.
Like they suck, but they do so much damage that you get them to land.
Saturday night now. Like that. Yeah, and they were all like that. All the CEOs were so nice to me. They were so nice. They were great.
Well, the frenzy flame one, as much as like it's kind of a pain in the ass because it's charged, it packs a wallop, bro. And it's like spread out, so like if there's multiple enemies, you'll damage them all.
That's when I started to like get into an exercise routine and
You just like cry damage.
Like I started getting Securus app messages on the 28th. I met Meredith in there.
I hear a jingle.
talking every day, and really helped the days go by, and it was nice, and so. As time went on, like it really sucked being in there, but there were long days. Like every day, I would go from morning recess. I would call it. That's what we call rec. We call rec recess. From 8 to 10, they would bring me to an area, and it's a housing unit area, and there's a basketball hoop there and outside, and you can do whatever you want. Showers, you do whatever you want for 2 hours. Watch TV. Well, all the prisoners are in their cells, so you're in their living area, and one of the prisoners in this area was Brian Walsh, the guy who's been arrested.
Oh yeah.
What is it?
I saw him. Like back in the third day in prison, like, oh my god.
Oh, you don't know? He grabbed it, right?
Brian freaking Walsh. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my god. So towards the end, I actually put a note under his door and I introduced myself because I couldn't knock. And I'm like, my name's Aiden Carney. I'm a reporter. I understand that Michael Proctor is one of the detectives on your case, and that you're obviously in here for your Google searches. And I'm wondering if you're familiar with a woman by the name of Jennifer McCabe, who also Googled a lot of incriminating things, and the Commonwealth says those Google searches didn't happen. And so that, I'm like, if you're interested in speaking to me, I'm getting out of here in a few days. I'd be happy to message you on the Securus app, and we can have a continued conversation about this. And the next day I go to his door and knock on it, and he's like, oh, hi, Aiden. First time we ever talked. He's like, I got the message. I'm really happy. Like, I'm really happy that you're getting around here and you get to see your kid. But I talked to my lawyer, and for now he says that I don't want to have to do, but you can, maybe that can change in the future. And good luck with it. Okay, well, that's my voice to your final. Not saying this next guy, but he's pretty good. So, I would go to recess every day, and I started running. The first day I was running on the basketball court a few times, and then I figured out it was 17 times around, it was a mile. And so by the end, I was running 7 or 8 miles every day, first thing in the morning, and it just really kept my mental state up. If you're physically and mentally fit, you can get through anything. And so I did that, knowing that at 10 o'clock, it's back to medical, from 10 to 6:30, 8.5 hours alone in a cell. 2 meals are brought to you, and you need to find something to do during that time to make this no internet.
We don't need that.
So I talk on the phone all the time.
I don't think we need that for this one.
To my friends, to Meredith, to all sorts of people, and was just constantly getting filled in on the Karen Reed case. I had a journal where I would write stories. I published over 30 articles while I was in jail.
I mean, like, that.
They had my phone, and I would just
Actually, it was Rick. It was the other Rick.
Articles in a little notebook, and then I would dictate them, and they would just type them in and hit the publish button. So I'm keeping content going in jail. My Twitter account's active while I'm in jail. I can talk and do my job from a jail cell. So it's harder. Yeah. No, they called the Will show one time. I almost got in trouble for that. I called Will one night while he was live, and I'm like, I started talking to him, and it's like, oh shit, Will was live from jail. And then the next day, Tim Brady was like, don't ever do that again. That's how you're going to lose your phone privileges. You don't want to do that. And they did try to take my phone privileges. Over that? Not for that, actually. It was for, they claimed, Ken Mello filed a motion trying to take away my phone privileges because he claimed that I had added a woman named Jennifer Altman as an attorney, because attorney calls are not monitored by the jail.
Yeah, secure. You get the special, exactly.
Right. And another woman named Courtney Healy was also under those, and Courtney is Tim's paralegal. Jen is not, and so Tim Brado's the one that put her on as a lawyer, because apparently there's some law firm called Altman, Massachusetts, and he thought she was like part of that, and so he legitimately thought she was an attorney. So he put her down. It was a simple mistake, and but Mello, according to Ken Mello, who everything is witness intimidation with this guy, he goes, Your Honor, clearly he's adding Jennifer Altman, who is his pit bull, he called her, as on there, so he can have unmonitored calls and they can plot more witness intimidation. So we want him to have his phone calls taken away, except for his kids. He can call his kids, and we want his phone calls with Tim Brado to be monitored by a third party. Brado was like outraged about it.
Yeah.
Like Brado's
like, that's waiting words. Brado's gonna see you in the parking lot over something like that.
So I attended a hearing on Zoom, and Brado and Mello were in person, and Judge Squires Lee had the same reaction you did. She's like, you want me to tell the jail, of which I have no control or authority of, that this guy can't call people, and that his lawyer should have his calls monitored? Are you out of your mind, sir? And so that was a big, he got smoked, we won that one. So luckily, I'm like, without phone calls, the jail would suck. Like that made being able to call people all hours of the day really made time go by a lot quicker than it would have. But time went by slow.
Gotcha.
Slow.
Me and Frederick are taking care of this guy.
One more, another night down. how's that went on? Like, well exercise, getting my routine, do this today, I'm gonna write an article today, I'm gonna do this is how I'm gonna make
We
my
got me.
best, is by doing this. And getting closer every day, we got closer and closer, and we found out SJC petitions to get me out early, so I'd always like look at that and never think to listen. It did actually get me out 30 years early. I was thinking it's 90s. And
What the fuck hit me?
you can have your
The bird's up top.
If your charge is in district court, it's 60 days. It's only 60 days for superior.
Piece of
So
shit fucking
them
bird.
indicting me 3 days before I was arrested actually got me out of jail for 30 days.
Yeah.
But now my charges are in superior court. So the SJC did rule that actually his charges are in superior, so you can only put him in 60. So we won that. So I got out 30 days earlier. And then 3 days after I got out, they tried putting me back in. And this is what I had a trial for a couple weeks ago. And that's what you saw this. But
Yeah.
so the McAlberts in Call of Duty brought Lindsay County with them. Was never here. She never attended them. So they were like, and she just drove up to them. And Jennifer McCabe walks in the court with this huge smile. Like,
Oh, I'm sure. Shitting grin.
look at this play toy I have. And we're sitting in there, and Meredith kind of looks at me and is like, get up. You know, like, as soon as she walked in, she's like, she's here, we need to leave. So I didn't even look at this. I got up, I walked out, I asked him, Devin Pop outside, where should I go? There's a woman inside with an order on me, and he goes, just go over there for now. He wants me to do. So I go over there, I stand there for all of 5-10 minutes, and it's here. And the crowd pours out. Everybody looks like ants, everybody's got black hair, black coats. I don't see her, she doesn't see me.
I'm gonna get the last one or go up top.
And then she calls the
got time
police
for up top.
from the parking lot and says,
Give it a
my
shot.
car has been vandalized. And I think it's Aiden Carney did this because he's
did the
mad.
last
He
one.
just got kicked out of court. He must
Yeah,
have
I'm
vandalized
gonna
my
go
car. And
level up.
Of course, I did.
Zone's coming in.
Of it, whatever. And what she doesn't mention to the police, what she calls, is that, oh yeah, he just violated the order against me. He just yelled things at me. He just came within 100 yards of me. No mention of that. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Level
So she gets
13.
in the car and she starts driving home. And
Not
she
terrible.
must have talked to
Could be
Kate
worse.
Peter. And Kate Peter saw that I had done the live stream outside, so I was at the restaurant. And she must have told her that Aiden was there. She knows that, right? And so she calls the Dedham police office, and she has this news story that, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you, Aiden Carney was yelling, liar, liar at me outside. He was staring at me. So she forgot to tell
Yo,
me.
I got
And
the
so
first
I
that I
ended up
can.
charged with violation of a restraining order 3 days after getting out of jail. And now I have another bail revocation hearing for this on March 14th. And I'm like, so I didn't even feel free. I'm like, I'm free. And now they're going to try to send me right back, this time for 120 days for a dangerousness hearing. And so, luckily, the Judge Pomerol in Dedham District Court, who's just very fair. He's very fair. I like Judge Pomerol. He's very fair. He wouldn't let me get away with something if I was guilty, but he's also not going to let me go down if I didn't. And he sees through the bullshit, and he's like, tell me how he's dangerous. And Mello's like, Your Honor, he started at 400 pounds. Like, what? 400 pounds? What are you talking about? Like, the guy just didn't know what he's talking about. Like, he actually says this in court. He's like, he's doing this, and he's blogging about her, and he's like, he goes, dangerous. Tell me how he's dangerous. No. And he can't do it, so I didn't get him a bail report. So he goes, finally through. I just had my trial for that. In front of Judge, he went to the bench, Judge Pomerol, Thursday.
Yeah.
And it was a 3-day trial. Paula Q testified, Lindsay testified, I didn't have to testify, and I was
Yeah, I did see that, and I wanted to congratulate you on that too, especially for that decision to go with the bench trial. That was gutsy, because there is we call it stuff illegal in criminal defense, but when you have a good judge, you know the judge, you know, and you have that ability to trust the judge to do the right thing. It can be a little bit of a different situation. So it sounds like you, I don't want to say rolled the dice.
Yeah, we made a game time decision going into it.
Yeah.
Like, my lawyers recommended bench trial. Lawyers like bench trials because juries are unpredictable, and judges are like with you. You never know, somebody gets on that jury, he's anti-protocol. You never know. And so, whereas a judge, we've dealt with Judge Pomerol before. He knows the story. He's going to see this. He's going to know what's up. And so we roll the dice. Conversely, there was a risk because you feel like, well, the judge might look at it letter of the law and say, well, technically, it did come within 100 yards of her. So that was also a risk. Whereas the jury might have said, every single person on the jury was dealt with the conscious law. And it's like, we'd see through it. So it was a calculation, but ultimately, there's no, it's faster if you do a bench trial. And more can be, I didn't know this, more can be added into evidence with the bench trial. Like, for instance, we added the video of Frank Regan and Lindsay County, and Lindsay refuses to get out of his car and he gets arrested. We would not have been able to add that at a jury trial, but we could at a bench trial because he's able to kind of know more than the jury. So he's able to understand the implications pieces of this, and we argued that, well, I had seen that video by February 26th, and so when they say, well, why didn't you just get in your car and leave? I said, because how do I know she's not in my car? How do I know she hasn't gone? This is her MO. I'm scared of her. I want to stand near the cops. So the cops are the witness, and so I feel safe. I don't feel safe to get in my car because I don't know where she is.
Yeah. No, the public place seems like a secure decision about holding.
Right. Yeah, I mean, jail, I never thought it was. I mean, I'm sure you dealt with a lot of clients in jail, but jail is a miserable place.
It's not a fun place. Yeah, I mean, it's there for the purpose of dehumanizing you, and making it clear, you're bad. You have exiled yourself from society.
Dehumanized is a good word. That's how I don't mean it. You just felt like you're less than a person. Like you're a person, but like not really. Like you don't really count. Like you are other people can tell you just make your bed. Like why isn't your like some CEOs were dicks. Like most of them were good, but a couple of them were dicks. And like you need to make your bed. You need like I wanted to get out of my cell one time and like make a
I think we're level 15.
And one CEO was just
It's gonna be very close. Maybe not.
Like
Maybe not.
I know he can hear me. He's 10 feet
I think it's
away.
like 70 and 10. It might be like 140.
Because he wants to.
I only got 125.
And so yeah, it did feel that way.
Yeah, so we got money.
Walk on the right hand side. If you go too far left, they tell you to stay on the right hand side. Like every aspect of your life there is just under the control of everyone else.
Yeah, I need more hair.
Submissive. Your opinion doesn't matter. The things that you want don't matter. You're not a real person.
No, know your place. Know your place.
Yeah.
Hey.
And so it's just a horrible place. And like, that's why
during the day and then
I actually kind of read about jail. She went to 2 nights.
I don't think I'm gonna use this.
She's never been to real jail.
Real jail.
Yeah. Luckily she's never gonna have to. But they really wanted to put her. I mean, it's the worst thing you can do besides killing a person is put him in jail. And it's scary how many people cheered on my persecution and Taryn's. And it's just like, we're human beings, right? Like we have families and stuff, and like you're just getting off on the misery of a stranger because this is just a game.
What do you want?
What's wrong with you? Like how do you get this morally depraved to feel this way? Like yes, incarcerated, but like, you don't have 2 kids, right? Like need me, like
turtlenecks.
You're doing this to them too. The father's gone for some.
Like turtlenecks.
To another person. It's just this whole story is showing me the real ugliness and the evil side of society.
Why is there like this anti-Turtle Boy contingent? Like where does that come from? What motivates it? Like are these people that are associated with McAlberts? Are these people that are just pissed for some other reason? Like what is it? These are just hateful, the kind of normal hateful people that like to judge and wish harm on others. Like what's going on there?
Well, Turtle Boy derangement syndrome has been around long before the Karen Reed case.
This is where it goes down.
I have a special ability. My lawyer, Mark Gonzalez, has represented Alex Jones, and he goes, people who are dedicated to hating you are more dedicated than they are to the people who are dedicated to hating Alex Jones. Like I've never seen anything like how mad people get about you. Like they hate you, and like there is this contingent. If I've written about you, and I've written about tens of thousands of people before exposed to that behavior. Most people just move on with their life. But some never get over it. Like Kimberly Fair on Twitter, or Michael Gaffney, or Kate Peter. These are all people I've written about, and they just never get over it. And they dedicate their lives to me, to like destroying me. And it's like they never get tired of it. And they finally got me in jail. And they finally got what they wanted. It was 60 days. They did get that. And so it's most of the things that they're read stuff, like it's fueled by hatred of me. Some of it's really bad. It's all McAlberts and the people who don't look over. That's it. You're one of them. And so I don't think any of them actually believe anymore. The McAlberts are all just fucking get back. The other ones are all just like, well, Turtle Boy is taking this position, so I must take the opposite. All this is. It's crazy. Because if I had said Karen Reed was guilty, maybe that it wouldn't be very fun.
Well, and so that's got to make you nervous going into. I mean, you still, like you said, you still got charges out there. I'm not sure how many. I remember I mentioned because I mentioned to you before we came on. Like one of the big tells for me that like this looks like a lot of bullshit.
Damn, bro.
Just like a flurry of charges for nothing. That nobody else is being charged with. Like Turtle Boy's body, stacked 100 deep or something. Like I don't even know what it was. But I know they charged me with a lot of different things. And so does that make you nervous? That you get strong reactions from people.
Yeah,
Damn it.
That's essentially what she did, and that's good. But I just have to again the best players, do the best, and the amazing support system of people who are going to have my back financially, not just financially, but also for help. Like, there's no person who's going to help finding folks, thinking of new angles, offering assistance, coaching them.
Damn it.
Hopefully now that the county trial is over, there's a more competition on those charges because honestly, happening to me is more dangerous to all of us than what happened to Hannah Reid. It's more dangerous, like an innocent woman who was framed for murder and her life was gone. Whereas with me, if they can do this to me, then there is no First Amendment. And if there's no First Amendment, then we don't really have any eyes. Right? Like they can do it. They can just silence the little. They can keep doing. They can do more Hannah Reid if they want. And you ain't gonna do nothing about it. You didn't go guilty. That's the best thing that's going to be said. So I am bold enough that people out there, that there is a contingency of people who are well, I support
Man.
too much. And to them I say, how can you not be as outraged as I am about what they did to John? If you're not out there doing what I'm doing, and if you have a problem with this, then you don't quite get what they did to John O'Keefe and what they did to Karen people. You should be as outraged. I'm not doing this for attention. I'm not doing this for I'm doing this because I'm really upset. And I'm like, this is wrong. This is a real wrong thing. I feel inspired to get out there and make my voice heard about this.
One thing you don't have, you do have an army, you do have lots of supporters, you have a great legal team, but you don't have a turtle boy. Would Turtle Boy like to have a turtle boy on his face?
That's a good question. The turtle boy like that, because you're right, I am somewhat hamstrung on what I can say and have to do on such time. You're right. I did tell the turtle boy, and honestly, I think support.
Thanks for the axe.
If they were to, the family was to be in the front row of my next hearing on July 7th, their family, that would go, yeah, that would be great. Like, as far as lifting spirits and morale, it could really be the impression of that we support, we appreciate, we value the good, that we, that we have all that, and now we're going to have this back. I think it was get attention. It was get attention. Like, the media is best for the family. And so that was, my story isn't getting attention, obviously.
Not like this. Like that. Get clapped by Revenant, dog.
Well, and from my perspective, what was so revolutionary about what you did in this particular case is that the norm that we're used to with the criminal justice is that the defendant doesn't get to fight
So
back.
jump on my back. I'll take y'all for a ride.
Until whenever, however many years down the road it might take to get into court, if it ever gets into court, right? Because as you know, they're going to lean on you to try to get you to plea, and maybe they'll upcharge it to like second-degree murder or something like that to try to leverage it. But what you're really discouraged from doing is speaking out, and it's one of the big takeaways I think from this trial was I feel like that common wisdom has really been shattered in so many ways, not just because. Okay, everybody under the sun thought, terrible idea for Karen Reid to go do all these interviews, right? And
Easy
lo and
claps.
behold, she does these interviews, they're using him at trial, and he's flipping them, and he's trying to, but at the end of the day, what? It didn't matter. Like, nobody cared. It didn't matter at all. It didn't move the needle at all.
What it did do was waste her lawyer's valuable time. Time that they could have been spent doing other things. So I do think it was a mistake that she did that, and I do think it had a negative impact, simply because of the amount of time that they had to spend to that. But you're right, the jury ultimately did it.
In the sense of it's not going to hurt you, it's not going to hurt your case for you to get your side out, because the reality is you get arrested, okay, the press has already heard about whatever the crime was, when it's a murder, they already know somebody died, they already know how, they already know about the investigation, they already know how hard the cops are working to run it down and find the right person, and then they find you, and the press is going to hear everything about why they're saying it's you, and then it's literally at that point, the court process is now started. All the public has ever heard is how guilty you are and what a terrible crime it is and stuff like that. And now it's the point where you have to shut up. Your lawyer can't talk for you. They got the ethics rules that say pre-trial publicity, and the lawyers are very conservative about that. They're telling you shut up. It would be a bad idea to do these interviews. You just got to wait your turn in court. You guys did something very, very different in this case, and I gotta feel like in many ways the proof is kind of in the pudding.
You must have many questions. Well, it's simple enough. We have a common cause. Perhaps you don't remember. All your talk of getting revenge upon the Night Lord, how you would never forgive it and so on. Hardly grounds for abandoning you. This might seem all too much right now. But I promise with time, you will grow accustomed to this place. This might seem all too much right
How are you feeling? There are some who are wary of your companionship, but your intent was not much different from our own. I have no mind to doubt you, and I'm honored to fight on the same side. That said, you do well to show you are trustworthy. I could give you a job to prove yourself. I may be old-fashioned, but actions speak louder than words. What do you say? Will you hear my request? Without delay, I want you to retrieve a weapon wielded by the forces of night. Their fierceness is compounded by the strength of their arms, but with a proper understanding of their tools, I can fend them off with my shield. It needn't be a perfect specimen. Even a fragment of a blade will do. I leave it in your hands.
Good to see you. Every one of you who has risen, we are all equal at the round table. It is a place where
Bless you.
Bless you.
judges that came
I don't know
before,
much about it, and they watch.
Thank you.
but I hope that won't be the case for long.
I don't need to do a specific thing.
What was that, bro?
Like, some of the
So is there anyone you need to run?
Like, the way some of the-
Revenant.
she just didn't seem
That win got me,
actually
like-
upset about John Ben. Now,
Oh,
we all
the
know that there's
no,
always
like doesn't like
people
matter
out
about
there
map or
that
anything.
She's had no time to grieve, John. Like, and I can agree and all this, but you don't have to explain your way out of it if she doesn't talk in the first place. You know what I mean? And Karen Reed is a very intelligent person, and I get the need to like want to get your voice out there and say those things. But ultimately, the biggest impediment to Karen Reed was Karen Reed herself. And I said this on my show last night, and I'll say it again, and I don't care who likes it. The biggest mistake Karen Reed made was leaving One Meadows Ave at noon or 1 o'clock that day, whenever that was. That was the biggest mistake she ever made, and I'll tell you why. Because the Commonwealth hides behind the O'Keefes and John's friends, and the fact that John O'Keefe and his friends and family sit on the Commonwealth side, they don't buy any of this shit. Why don't they buy that? Because they don't like her as a person. And why don't they like her as a person? Because Carl Dougal, who Carl Dougal is John. I don't know if you know who he is. He's sets the board a lot.
He's doing the body checker in the hall or something.
Right. So
Yeah.
he's BPD detective, right? And he should be able to see through this from a mile away. So why doesn't he like Karen? Well, he texted Karen on the 29th and was like, it was actually a really nice text. And he was like, I just want to make sure you're okay. I'm so sorry about this and whatever. And she does, and then I think he texts her again, and she just doesn't text back. And this gives him a reason to not like her and be like cold. And I'm sorry, like I'm in a position right now, I'm not hearing back from Karen Reed. And it's just this coldness to her personality a little bit that just. But the difference between me and Carl is I'm smart enough to say that, okay, she might be a little cold. She might be a little bit like, say things that make her appear that way, but she's not a murderer. That doesn't make her a murderer. Like, I'm smart enough to be like, you can have a personality that I'm not really a fan of, but also you're not guilty of murder. Like, they're not the same thing. And so, like, not having anyone from John's friends or family in her corner hurt her in the eye of public opinion. Because people look at this and they're like, well, if don't they want justice for John? They wouldn't be supporting the Commonwealth if the Commonwealth wasn't right. I mean, that's how people look at it. And you can kiss all these people out there saying, well, you kiss my ass. That's the truth, okay? And it's an uncomfortable truth, but it is the truth, is that Karen Reed's biggest obstacle was Karen Reed herself.
It's interesting. There was a whole psychodrama going on there with One Meadows Ave and Karen's relationship with the O'Keefe family and Peggy O'Keefe.
Yeah, I threw the Everpool one on.
About at the hospital and her reaction to Karen. He just left him there. Like, and he's a grown ass man. We just
Yeah,
left him
exactly.
there.
That was
It was kind of crazy to me to see that, but it also
We're doing the last spot.
I mean, I can see what you're saying about Karen and that being potentially a mistake that she made, maybe to reveal a little bit too much of herself. But if Hank Brennan made a big mistake, honestly, I think putting Peggy O'Keefe on the stand might have been it, because I feel like you kind of understood why. You know, after she testified, you kind of understood why. Not only Karen wouldn't want to hang around that house, but exactly why they would be eager to believe this. They hated her. They hated her. They couldn't. They weren't even to question this.
She was the least sympathetic mother of a murder victim ever. Like when you heard her testify, it's like, oh yeah, like if you gave the jury a reason not to really give a shit about the family of the deceased person in her on stand. She was a disaster, in my opinion. Like, she got up there and she spoke glowingly about her daughter Kristen. Like she was very upset about her daughter Kristen. But John, what did she say about John? Well, John was a cop. Oh yeah, he worked in Rochester, and then he was in High Top. That's it. Now, like, if I died, you put my mom on the stand. She's not gonna shut up about why she loves me. Like, she's not gonna stop. And then Paul, God forbid Paul gets murdered. There's never gonna be justice. But what about Paul? Paul's over there.
Paul's over there. Oh, man.
It's like, yeah, like that's it. It's like,
yeah.
Oh yeah, you don't even see that shit up about this. Like, I agree with putting Paul Peggy on the stand was
I think the problem, it really changed the dynamic in a couple of ways.
I have like 3 spots that are like glowing on the map.
The whole family dynamics. Like one of the things that always jumped out to me about this case that was like the thing that wasn't was the domestic violence. Where was ever any sort of aspect of domestic violence in this case? When you have somebody killing allegedly their romantic partner, that is, you know, it is by definition domestic violence, but you're absolutely going to pursue that. And I think it was an unspoken thing that was never said because it was almost like I realized I think that they didn't want to go into that because there's so many dynamics with domestic abuse and you know, it tends to be generational and stuff like that. And I just wondered, like, is that going to open doors? It really shifted my perspective between hearing that dynamic with Peggy O'Keefe, how she sees Karen, how she talks about her own children and family, and then also kind of overlap with the text messages between Karen and John. You know, I can read these text messages and I mean, everybody's going to have a little bit of a different perspective on what they're getting out of it, but I see one person trying to make it work and I see one person that just can't be bothered, you know, and so that to me I thought was a real misstep.
I see 2 people who are afraid to leave each other. That's what I see in those messages. 2 people who know they probably shouldn't be with each other, but are just like, whatever, this is convenient, like we're with them. Like it is interesting, like because like, in the early part of the day in those messages, it was like up to like 2 o'clock, she's mad at him, right? Because something happened the night before, like he did with a pillow or something like that. And you know, he can't be bothered because he happens over here and you're annoying, and so she's calling him. He's like, leave me alone, like, and she obviously wants to talk about it. And he's not.
Ooh, hit me with like that combo move.
When all of a sudden we need the ride because he wants to go out drinking, and Karen, the Uber driver, babysitter with benefits. Now Karen doesn't want to come over because Karen's got the plumber coming over, and you know a lot of pornographic movies start with the plumber coming over, and so men are kind of like, being a plumber, like he's bringing the pipe, like like that. He's clearly threatened by the plumber because he's like, what? I'll fix your pipe. He's like insulted by the plumber. He's like, get your ass to camp, sleep here the entire weekend, please get snowed in with us, and drive me around. And so she's like, all right, and then she's there. But that's not domestic violence.
Yeah. No, it's not domestic violence. But it was a different dynamic, I think, than was expected. Definitely a different dynamic than what the Commonwealth was trying to sell in terms of Karen being the one who is you know, ultimately going to culminate in this murderous act of domestic
honestly, like he's good at like against like fast enemies.
To bring the Peggy O'Keefe.
You could just kind of run around Sebastian.
You know, if they were satisfied with that solution,
hell yeah.
Probably, you know, wanted it under the impression I got by you know, just their attitude towards her in general. Then of course it was going to be an easy sell, and of course they weren't going to have to work very hard to try to come up with a case, and of course it didn't matter if there were big gaping holes into it because they wanted to believe it.
I have to hit like
I felt like that really illustrated it in a way that was kind of
that's what was glowing when the map started. I don't see any other like key on the map.
Because they didn't cross-examine her. Obviously, I think that was the right choice. But if they wanted to, what they could have gotten into it with was like, how much did you talk to Jennifer McCabe before John McCabe died? Right? How much did you talk to Jennifer McCabe after John McCabe died? Jennifer McCabe started an organization called Peggy's Music. take you out to dinner, and it's like they just really, because they already did it with their guys, and they just really started pushing hard that, oh wow, Jennifer's food is a manipulative psychopath. Kept that into it, but it just wasn't working. It's nothing really the right call, and you just don't cross-examine like cops must, do so. But if they wanted to, that would have been what I think they should have done.
Was there any point during the trial where you thought, like, this is the turning point, this is it, like, this is definitive, this is the mic drop?
Yeah, it was Nicholas Barrow saying absolutely not. That was the definitive one. Because all the other stuff, Dr. Marie Russell was fantastic. She was great, right? But then there's just a lot of kind of boring talk about methodology and this and that and blah, blah, blah. But everybody gets when a cop says, no, didn't look anything like that. Like that was
Are they up top?
Strong language from him. But I think that was a real turning point.
I found one.
Charged incantation.
Then other than that, it just got stronger. The defense got stronger with each witness. Like I thought DeSoto was the weakest one. He was kind of boring. He was PowerPoint. He was more like we're talking about texting data in 30 seconds. This is really confusing, right? And then then
it's a great bow though.
We brought her on. That was getting more interesting. Okay, and she kind of and according to the jurors,
Zone's coming.
They interviewed afterwards, like the deeper testimony met. Because that Lever testimony showed like the police aren't very honest. Like something's going on here. And so that was good. And then obviously the Lucky Walker 2.0 was even way better than it was the first drive.
He was fantastic.
He was
still have a
I was
key?
really worried about him.
Yeah, I still have a
key. Pick him apart and read him, but he just held his own. He was so good. And then obviously, then the doctor.
The only one that's left I have to hit is in zone. That's over here.
Like when they brought up his wife.
What's that?
Like,
It's for
Oh
yeah.
Keep us cool about that. They're trying not to get flustered. So I don't think Dr. Wolf was as strong as he was actually in the first trial. I think he was obviously very good still, but I think that Hank did kind of like fluster him just a little bit, But I thought Dr. Wrenchler.
I'd rather try to get that shit done day one than trying to do it day two.
The way they ended with Aposado and Wrenchler,
Is there a church over there? Yeah, there's a church right there too. So and it's the far one, right?
I'm like, something could happen here. If they believe Judd Welcher, if they believe Trooper Paul, they might actually believe this guy. Like if they believe this guy, we're in big trouble here. But then after just Wrenchler and
we could do the average all day too.
We're all set.
There's a church right here as well.
None whatsoever.
Lit.
Yeah. One of the things that I thought was so interesting about
Nice.
Kelly Dever in particular as a witness was that, of course, as you know, one of the big talking points in favor of finding Karen Reed guilty is, you'd have to believe every person in Canton is involved in a conspiracy and every law enforcement officer participated in it.
I'm not in the bubble.
And so forth. Well, of course, that's never been a good faith argument at all.
Hopefully it takes me over there.
It's kind of now been illustrated that she was the thin blue line right there on the stand in front of everybody, making it crystal clear. Completely different department, no relationship with any of these people, MSP, none of them. But here she is being so incredibly uncooperative and difficult.
Yes. That was their plan. That's why they knew it was a gamble to call those here. They had this information in the first round, and they chose not to call it. But they're like, you know what? This is going to say a lot without saying much. We are counting on the jury that this is what he did. That is the exact thing that the jury did. She was told, I go on Kevin's shop during life, and I like to see how the discussion is like how this woman's horrible. Like this woman is a cop and what? Like there isn't a single person in America who thinks that
Power increase, right? We just get flash, FPM flash. Yeah, that's actually great. That's great for this character. I honestly couldn't be any better. As much as that was annoying. How much? Ooh, that's actually a good amount. And yeah, and I got fucking the rot breath dragon incantation, which is pretty crazy. Ezekiel's decay,
and it doesn't
which is like the good one.
We're texting each other, talking about our plans in detail and coordinating.
Yeah, it looks like it's the crowd.
It doesn't require any of that. It just requires you to know what your role is. Is your role to provide information or not? That's pretty much it.
Improved guard breaking.
You're there to help, or you're there to hide and to obfuscate. And that was a a big theme I thought that was unspoken. It wasn't explicit, but
right
came
here.
out especially a lot on cross-examination.
It says that there's supposed to be a weapon that I bring back.
What a difficult pop. And the contrast between when he's on direct and he's so he can't wait to share. He's happy to volunteer stuff, and then as soon as it's
Lightning
as soon as he's on
spear.
cross-examination,
That's
now
actually
we're
a
gonna
good
argue about
seal.
dictionary terms and things like that. I don't think that particularly helped him either.
Yeah, I don't know,
Just
bro.
because,
Like, they were flashing when we first came in. It's not like
like if you're there to tell the truth, it doesn't matter.
I know for sure, but like there's 3 of them. There's one here and one here. I don't know if like it means like I have to fucking.
Those are the treasure map.
He's the lead investigator. So Alan Jackson literally dog walks.
Oh, for this thing.
25 reports. They're all signed by Michael Proctor.
Yeah.
Who signed this one? Oh.
Maybe I need to read this remembrance again.
Yeah. You read every. You know the answer is Michael Proctor. Just get to it. Okay?
There's a blue circle over this.
And the jury saw that. They're like,
Yeah,
this guy
at the
is
end of the day, Connor Keith doesn't know.
Oh, is that what that means?
Yeah, he's like, that's what I mean.
And neither does Brian Tully. You know, when Brian Tully testified at my grand jury, he referred to Michael Proctor as the lead detective. They all did.
Yeah, I don't know where
They
the
all
hell to
called him
go
the lead
for
detective all the time. So,
just remembrance.
you know,
Yeah.
but for some reason, this guy got up.
Yeah, I'm
there,
running
he
the
played games.
get
It's like,
powerful.
Just say it. Just say he's the lead. Everybody knows he's the lead detective. He's just like, he's a bad apple. Like, he's not a good guy, right? He screwed it. Like, she did it. He's kind of a scumbag, but he's gone now, so everything's fixed. But she did it, okay? But instead, he's like, you're not the lead detective. What are you doing? Now you look like you're in on it too. What are you doing? Or, like, was he not prepped by Brennan, or is he so arrogant that he just didn't listen to what Brennan told him to act? There's no way Brennan's been in a million trials. He knows what a good witness is and a bad witness is. He had to be like, dude, you have to calm down the arrogance. You can't take your goddamn.
I'll open the average out.
Okay? You know, like, stop it. Stop with the arrogance. But he's just like, no, I'm gonna do things the Bukaki way. They're full speed ahead. This is how I act. This is how I am. Like, even Hank Brennan can come in. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if it was not prepping, or if it was, he was just one of those people that can't really be coached. He's gonna come across the way he comes across, and the rest you can hope for is damage control. And the main reason why I'm trying to pretend to think that is just because he's not a very smart guy. He's not a dummy by any stretch of the imagination, but he doesn't have the instinct of somebody that like a Tully I think is gonna have. Yuri he's cannon fodder. He's there to be there for the team and support them no matter what the cost. And I think he's probably all in on that. Like, he made that very clear with his testimony, what team he's on and how hard he'll fight for them. But as far as like what actual talent do you have to bring to that fight, I didn't see a lot of the like intellectual recognition there. And you have to have at least some ability to self-reflect, to introspect, to be able to internalize advice about how you're coming off on the stand. Like, did it cross your mind that just a very basic thing like lounging like you're on your sofa watching the Super Bowl with a bowl of chips right there maybe shouldn't be the look that you would have over here on a stand? But he just didn't seem to have that kind of reflection.
The 3 best liars that the Commonwealth had were not called. Okay, the 3 best liars are Brian Tully, Brian Albert, and Brian Higgins. Okay, those 3 guys, when they got up there, like, decorated dude Brian Higgins is a much better visual for the jury than shady Matt Farwell. Brian Higgins. That's what he looked like. He looked like Matt Farwell lurking around with his hoodie on. That's the only picture they had of him. They didn't know what. They didn't meet the decorated dude. They didn't meet him suited up with his hair parted and say, "Oh, I never lie. I'm a straightforward shooter. I've been on the job for 25 years. I'm a Marine. That old act. Oh yeah, we just go home, Jameson and ginger, and then I go home to bed after do some business." And then there's Brian Albert on the stand. You can tell this guy testifies all the time. Like, he's just up there like, I wish he did come in the house. I wish he did. Oh no, dressed like Mr. Rogers. And then Brian Tully, straight-faced Brian Tully up there, just acting. He didn't come across arrogant like Bukaki did. So they didn't call. I think Hank not calling all these witnesses was a huge mistake.
Yeah, who'd have thought that at the end of the day would have been such a good decision that Lally made?
Yeah, like, just because, like, honestly, you know how many witnesses that Hank had that said that John never came in the house? 2. Jennifer McCabe and Sarah Levinson. That's it. Lally had like 10 because he called them all, and they all said, and so it made it harder for the jury to believe that all these people are saying he didn't come in the house. Like, that seems like a lot, but he really called them 2, and then he didn't call everyone else. So the jury's got to be thinking, like, why are they hiding all these people? These are huge eyewitnesses. They were right there when the murder happened, and the government isn't calling them, but they are calling like every state criminalist. Like, what did you do after you were there? Well, I took pieces of film, I put it together like a jigsaw puzzle. So Carol, we must be guilty. Like, Mike Camerano, who are still, I don't know what that guy had. What did they bring that guy for? Like, what are they doing?
Yeah. You know, it wasn't even just not calling all of them, but specifically relying so heavily on Jen and really gambling that Jen was going to be able to sell it. And, you know, I think coming into the trial, I would have expected that to be a good bet because I think in the first trial, I found it horrifying. You know, I found it very, very transparent and disturbing almost in a lot of ways. But I know that was not universal on that. Did pretty good. But then coming into the second trial, I don't know if something shifted. I don't know if she was unprepared for that FBI question. It kind of seemed like the being questioned about the FBI showing up at her house.
I mean, she did the best she could with it.
I think she did the best she could with it, but I think she was unprepared for it. And I think maybe that was just enough to shake her to, you know, where she was a little bit more off her game. But she did present herself so much differently in the second trial than she did in the first one.
Yeah. You know, I think she was on team. I got whatever she could.
This motherfucker's poisoned and rotted.
I'm not kidding. She had to be just like, she had a unique personality. I'm sorry. It's a weird thing with like AI customer service or something like that. Like we're not like she knew all of those things from the first trial, and she was going to repeat that. She was going to be like, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Jackson, you seem to be confused about this. Let me explain. It's a good
Tell her, she had like her whole thing. I could totally see Jen McCabe like at home wargaming her own testimony. I could see her like spending months on this and like figuring out how exactly is it, you know, what's the script, what are my talking points going to be, what am I going to keep coming back to, the normal mom thing, the let me be helpful thing. Because that's, you know, I just answered the call, I didn't want to be involved in any of this, you know, it all fit together almost a little bit too well.
She was the hero of the closing. I mean, the three heroes of the closing. Who knew that the three heroes of the Tara Reid story would be Jennifer McCabe, Yuri Buchanan, and Timothy Nuttall? Like, those are the three heroes that we didn't know about in the John O'Keefe story. As it turns out, that Jennifer McCabe was a good friend who answered the call. She could have slept it. She answered the call. She went out with it. Now look at what to her. And then Yuri Buchanan, the decorated Marine of integrity. And he's a great guy, sergeant. We're rising through the ranks. And then the real star of the show, Timothy Nuttall, who was just there to save a life. He dedicates his life to this. And he did that, and he reported what he heard. And she said, I did it. And it's like, oh my God, dude. Really, who's buying this story? Like, what are you doing? He can't believe. Have you seen his brother Tony on Twitter? I got a real story about Tony tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
do we know that this is his brother?
It's 100% him. Without we verified it. So, have you seen his tweets from last year?
No.
All pro Karen Reid. He's like the first trial he was team Karen Reid, and then his brother gets appointed special prosecutor a few months later, and now Karen Reid gets appointed.
What?
And he's contacted Paul and her 79 times.
I saw that. Yeah.
Like that's very interesting because just imagine if it was the other way around. Imagine David Yanetti's sister or brother or whoever was contacting jurors so openly. What would they call that? They would call it witnesses.
I found one of those treasure thingies for the first time.
Right about that tomorrow.
Nice, it was right there. Yeah, what was in there? A key?
I got a key. There was
to the jurors
some
in the first place. It really has, I think, given away the game in so many ways. Of course, we didn't see this in the first trial because in the first trial they didn't reach a verdict. They didn't have an outcome, you know, whatever. But just to see this spin from. It's the sacrosanct process. In fact, it's such a third rail that we can't have Turtle Boy like writing too much about it or asking too many questions about it because that might interfere with the solemnity.
I got more stance breaking.
Jury verdict. But then as soon as the verdict comes
Hell
back
yeah.
and it's what they don't want, you know that's all gone out the window and that was just attack mode and you know personal harassment and stuff like that. And the fact that there has been no official interest in that at all, it's just particularly concerning to me. The order that Judge Canoni just signed, you know, to continue impounding the juror names, and what's the basis for that? It's not the fact that jurors who have gone public are now being harassed and being doxxed and being hunted down, all that type of thing.
never points this stuff out. That John DePietro can stand in the bottom of the court upstairs and yell at Karen Reed at the building. Karen, you think OJ did it? You know, like literally harassing her on the way into court. Like, she's talking about this stuff. She is a potential witness in her own case.
Ooh, he ran me over.
And you can say that doesn't cause her emotional harm, right? And maybe wants to prevent her from testifying. Maybe she doesn't want to testify now because she's getting harassed by John DePietro, right? There's just such an obvious double standard. We got videos of a woman last year named Jill Dudley Arbitron, who is the sister-in-law of Joe Crosby Jr., who is close friends with Brennan, and she's yelling at Karen Reed as the courtroom, Karen, just tell her you did it. Just tell her you did it, Karen. Literally telling a potential witness how to change her testimony. You know, change your defense and so we can end this. She said it's like not in the buffer zone, mind, inside the buffer zone. It's like it just goes unnoticed. Grant Smith Ellis yelling things at her. Or JLR harassing Karen. You're going to jail, Karen. How do you feel, Karen? Why don't you just come clean, Karen? But that's all allowed. But like these people in pink are castigated as this mob of outlandish thugs. It was such a lie about.
So that's the treasure.
This is just regular people. I walked amongst them
map
every day.
again.
They shook their hands.
Yeah, I'm not seeing like anything where it's like marked like the other shit was. They had that like orange fucking mug next to it.
No, it was women and children, mostly women, sitting in lawn chairs, right, watching the trial on the phones, right, and just wearing pink and just wanting to feel a part of something.
Like when you did the Remembrance, you seen like the orange mug when you had to go do the shit, right?
And that's what we're here to do. And
Yeah, I don't see nothing on the map.
There was one in the last trial, raised an affidavit that like you could hear them outside. This is not really coding. That's a complete lie. Because there was no free trial lead chance outside court. There's just no people sitting in lawn chairs. It's such a lie. And if you want to close the courthouse, that's what happened. And they use this to like pick these people out of there, smear them. It's just horrible. And this whole thing is just disgusting. Everything aspect of it.
Are you gonna keep fighting it?
Oh yeah, 100%. And I got my charges, and so luckily the Karen briefing is done. I feel so relieved that that's done. I've been saying for a while, I need to get off the Karen fight. It's been going on. It's too.
Look at this beetle quick.
It's too like anxiety-inducing, like online, like watching all these people be like, Karen's going to jail. That just. It was depressing reading all that stuff. Now we know it's not. Now it's not fun because they're on there crying.
Charge attacks.
Jurors and doing things that we know are never going to happen, like jury nullification. We're going to get this overturned. And so it's funny. I'm loving the coke. I'm loving going on there and reading the coke.
So much coke. Master coke.
Yeah, just injected into my veins. I love every single second. So it is a lot more relaxed now. I do feel better. And so it's just one less thing to worry about. Now we deal with my charges, and you know, I think we'll beat them. It's just.
Oh, you're going back to get that.
Sure. Well, listen, you've been here for almost 3 hours.
It's been a good time though.
It's been awesome. Yeah, I really appreciate this. I don't want to keep you. You know, you very busy life and things to do. Perfectly welcome to hang out, of course, if you want to. But I just want to thank you for taking the time to come and kind of just share what it was like from your experience and really talk about just the journalistic side of it and the way that you've had this target now placed on you for being
That's
the
what I
person
figured we'd do,
who
yeah.
spotted right at the beginning. But there was
Unless you have a
going to
different
be
plan.
something here that the powers that be didn't want to be revealed. And so kudos to you for following up on that. And I guess I just have one kind of final thought that I'd like to ask you about, which is that you mentioned, and I've heard you mention it before, that your conventional approach with your journalism and probably I assume your worldview in general has tended to be pretty pro police, tend to support the police, a little bit more of a right wing kind of guy. And I'm just wondering if this has changed your perspective in any way on how these things work as a system. Because, of course, as you know, Karen Reed is not the only person that's ever been charged in Kent. She's not the only person that's ever been arrested by Buchanan. She's not the only person that's ever been investigated by Tully. All of these people are still there in the loop, and I just have a hard time imagining this is the first time they've ever pulled off anything like this.
Oh, it's fucking troll.
And so, has that shifted your perspective at all on police, on criminal justice, on what we're doing with this court process and stuff? Anyway, I just love your take on what this has all meant to you at the end of the day.
Sure, it does, absolutely. I, like many people, always assumed that the person sitting in the defense chair was there for a reason. Right? They're not there by accident. But normal people don't get put there. Now I know better, and I will always give every person the benefit of the doubt. No matter how heinous the crime they're charged with, and
He's purple,
and if the facts, the jury would have convicted Henry if the facts with the evidence were there to do it, but they weren't there. They didn't want to save her because they were in the case. They acquitted her because there's no evidence, you know. And so, for instance, like the Brian Koberger trial is coming up in the middle of August, and so people ask me like, do you cover that case? And yeah, so this is going to be, but I'm going to go into that like Lawyer No and I'm going to go into their case, like with Karen. I don't want to know anything about it. Okay, whereas previously,
which is convenient because there's nothing to know anyway. Because they haven't had for years.
Well, you know, when it first came out, I read the charging document. It was cell phones, they all have shit on. So like looking at it, and so you know, and honestly, when you look at him, and you're like, that guy, he like majored in, I believe, some sort of, I don't know, it was criminal justice. He seemed like, yeah, he seemed like a guy who was like, he seems to fit the profile of a guy who would like to see if he could get away with the murder for the thrill of it. Like, he seems to fit, and he looks like it too. And he's like, you know, he lets us fit, and like, it's this guy, it's very easy to believe that this guy did it. So what I'm, previously I would be like, hey, good, you know, so, whereas now, I'm going to go with it. And I'm also not saying he didn't do it. Like, a lot of my followers think I'm this guy now that just says defendant to all. No, I'm going to go into that trial blind and watch the whole thing and determine whether or not the state has proved beyond a reasonable doubt this guy killed those four people, right? And so yeah, I definitely think this has changed the way I do.
I guess let's go Roof who gives us the most.
It certainly made me think more highly of defense attorneys.
And if we have time, Belbear in the basement.
And now I know that actually they could be heroes sometimes.
It's
so,
like the most efficient, right?
And sometimes
hopefully it's not in like too crazy up here.
On criminal justice in general.
But there's four of us.
That's I'm gonna be interested to see how the Koberger case unfolds, and I would love to get to talk to you again as that is going on and get a sense of what your take is. Because yeah, that is what I've been talking pretty much from day one, and there's a lot of murkiness at this point, a lot of murkiness, but you know, some red flags, some shenanigans. I'll tell you, just you know, I'm not gonna tell you like details or anything like that. You want to go cold, but
nice.
kind of like.
I love that I was rolling. It's not like I was like standing still. I was literally trying to avoid getting hit so I could just hit you once. And it still punished me.
And so just, you know, game over. I think it just
It's awesome that our boy's not here though. That's probably the best part of this.
It's just a question of what's her culpability. Did she mean to do it? Was it an accident? That type of thing. And of course, it turns out at the end of the day that's not true.
Fuck it though.
Camera video.
I'm about to just fucking drag an incantation his ass. Just full send it.
That's what makes me it raises a red flag with me. And there's been a substantial amount of that with Koberger. Doesn't mean none of it's true. Doesn't mean that they don't have the goods on him. You know, that's what's going down the file. But just if you want to have like your anonymous line,
fuck it. We're here.
Media to try to make us feel like he's really guilty, I'm gonna question why you do that. So that's just my take, and that's because you know we don't have Turtle Boy on the Koberger case. We haven't had Turtle Boy over in Koberger. We're stuck with the mainstream media, and you know that hasn't necessarily given us what we know.
So I appreciate you having me on. I really like the content, and I just found the case, and a lot of people look out for the case, but I really enjoy your perspective on things. I thought you were really fair in your coverage of Karen Reed, and I appreciated that. Because I was worried that like when Twitter accounts, like guys would like that they would say like she's good, like you never know what they say, and then we start lots of influential people with big platforms start getting guilty, and you know things can go badly. So I appreciate you being fair and talking to that, and I really thank you for having me on. You truly need to despite the fact that I kind of have, you know, I'm rough around the edges, and I got a whole bunch of witness intimidation charges that some people might not want to associate with. So thank you for giving me a chance to have you.
Well, it's my pleasure, and I will say that witness intimidation is probably like one of the lowest level charges of the people I'm accustomed to talking to.
Yeah. It's usually like an add-on, like murder and witness. I'm the first guy to get it alone.
Because you're the only person that I've ever seen be charged.
Revenant with big stick for the win.
You got arrested for like, you know, for shooting a homie, and you're sitting in jail, and you can't not be on the phone like telling everybody not to shut up.
Yeah.
That's you know what people are usually getting a bridge for. So not but you know you are entitled to your presumption of innocence just like everybody else. I give you that. I have extreme skepticism about the circumstances, about the the statute itself, the charges, and just again the context we kind of started this all out with. We're heading into 4th of July weekend. It's a great time to be thinking thinking about revolution and celebrating revolution
Oh,
and thinking
talk
about
sweet to me.
how far the powers that be will go
That's not bad.
to maintain that power.
1,000 viewers.
I think you're really you're kind of sitting in the hot seat when it comes
Yeah, I knew
to,
we did.
when it comes to
He just got some lucky hits on us.
that idea. So I really wish you the best with that. I'm gonna be watching.
That one's just, it's not worth it.
Hopefully, Massachusetts.
You get
once again,
HP
do the right
on
thing.
beating people. That's not gonna help us.
For having me again.
Thanks so much. Really enjoyed it.
Thanks. Bye, Andrew.
Bye bye. Oh, it's fun and awesome, guys. What did you think? I enjoyed that talk. Oh, a lot of super chats come through. I didn't want to make him sit through all that, so we'll go ahead and turn to your guys' thoughts. What you have been thinking about all of this. At 44 in Japan, I'm 5 hours ahead in Ireland, but we'll head up later. We will be here later.
Or is it gonna be in the air?
We had some new members come
It
through.
would've been hilarious if that shit was in the air.
26, Sue Crespi, Ms. Peaches, all new members. Guys, thank you so much. Channel, appreciate that. DJ in Works, love this collaboration you both rock. Well, thank you so much for that. I found Turtle Boy. I heard about Turtle Boy.
That shit almost killed me.
I really even knew very much about the Karen Reed case. It caught my attention before really any kind of interest in Karen Reed prosecution, and it's because of the First Amendment implications. When you are trying to report on events and on public proceedings, court processes, things like that. That's just an alarming place to be wielding the power of law enforcement, and so that got my attention really before murder trial really ever did. So I'm definitely intrigued to see how that is going to Claricia Harris, Aiden, I think you need to upgrade to a background on the cape or Nantucket with a manicure lawn. You earned it time to upgrade. I know you just see that. You think he's tired of the lawn at 34th Avenue? Doesn't work so well anymore. I don't know. We got some nice places out west here. Maybe Aiden needs to come take a little vacation out to Yukon, Yellowstone, Yosemite, Arches. I mean, name it. We got some spectacular stuff out here. Great background. Bridget039, HB's guilty what he accuses others of. Master projector. Tried to malign Dr. Lopesada and break and wasn't a POS on cross. 100% has something on him. I noticed what a different demeanor he had with Dr. Lopesada, and I have to wonder what that was. I was expecting him to dial down the rudeness in general, relative to like the Arca board here. So over the top, so rude. I'm like, well, there's no way this would fly in front of the jury, and then we get in front of the jury, and no, he's not actually going to dial it back. He is in fact going to do that, like right in front of the jury, and so that just changed my expectations a lot. So that it was, and it just made me wonder. I don't know if he knows because he's worked with her before. She's good. She's dangerous. He may make a mistake. He's got an answer for all of this.
Not gonna lie. For a minute, I thought those knights were mine.
You have to wonder, don't you? I will tell you.
Just heal. Just worry about yourself.
There is a certain type of lawyer that when they are shopping for an expert witness, they are looking for an objective evaluation. Please give me your independent advice about this case, this information, this testing. No, they will tell you, I'm here to prosecute Karen Reed, and I think she hit him with the car. So take a look at this and tell me what you think. If they're not going to come out straight out and tell you, I want you to testify that she hit him with the tail light at 24 miles an hour in reverse. It's not going to be something like that, but it's going to be real clear what your expectation is, what the hope is going to be for that testimony. And so an expert who's not really concerned about integrity, more concerned about paycheck, they're going to get the message, and they're going to look and they're going to see, is there a way that I can come up with, maybe if I paint my arm blue, stand over here by the back, and maybe even just go ahead and put John Pete's clothes on. Maybe that'll work. So it wouldn't surprise me. If Hank had maybe tried something like that with Dr. Lopesada at some point, like made it clear, this is what I want you to testify to. And, she wasn't willing to accommodate that. Just something like that. I could see it. But it does. I wonder with you. So Rita Banana, first trial, didn't Bev instruct for second charge?
Do you think there's a time you ever don't level?
Lead to John O'Keefe's death. maybe some
You just
jury
buy
felt,
shit.
well, she left him at Fairview whilst drunk driving, so what happened afterward, we don't know. So yes, manslaughter thoughts. I don't remember the exact language that she used in the jury instruction. Oh, Mike. I don't have all my links ready anymore. I was gonna look up the form jury instructions.
What's he weak to? Lightning?
But I think that was I've heard
I think
concerns
it's
about
lightning
that
if I
during
remember.
her
It might be
trial. I've heard
holy
concerns about it
though.
somewhat too during this trial as well. That
Might be
just the
holy.
way that manslaughter charge is it is written, it's not necessarily clear that whatever it is that she had to do involved hitting him with a car. That she just had
I think
to
it's
do
lightning though, so I'm gonna go
negligent,
lightning
and if
against
the
him as much as I like my dragon incantation.
negligence like resulted in him dying, that would be enough.
And I got my giant
It's a little
candlestick.
bit squirrely, I guess, on the causation element of it. I didn't see that in this particular trial in these instructions.
It's not
I don't
quite a
recall
war
the
axe,
instructions
but you
from
know
the
what I
first
mean.
trial. But I do remember that conversation. I remember that coming
It'll
up
be
during Juror Ronnie's interview as well. When he talked about, well, we just kind of wondered she was driving drunk, and he was found there. And
Yeah, I'm broke.
it's not necessarily
I was only
clear
able to
to
buy
me, are we
one.
saying that therefore that's the likely explanation?
I have a turtleneck
because
if
she
you
did
want
hit
it.
him and killed him, and that's why he was there? Or
Sure.
are we just
I was
saying,
broke. I was only able to buy one.
well, she was driving drunk, maybe he slipped and fell, maybe she didn't notice because she was too intoxicated and he died because of that. Maybe that would be enough to satisfy manslaughter. So I could see this potentially
Yeah, I got
being an
gains
issue,
FP on
but I think
successive
at the end of the
attacks
day,
too, so like
it really speaks
that
to the
dragon's
motivation of
breath,
the
like
jurors.
a
If they
quarter
want to
refilled it,
convict
so
you, yeah, they'll be reading the instructions, looking for things like this. To
it
be able
won't,
to,
because all three of us have to
say,
get past
yeah,
that breaking
she made
point,
this
which is like
mistake,
those
he's
pillars
dead,
up
and
there.
therefore it's her fault, guilty. But if you don't have that drive, you're not motivated. I want to find her guilty. I want to find some justification to support that. Then I think for most people it just
I think he's weak to
doesn't pass the
lightning, if I
common
remember
sense
correctly.
issue,
It might be
you know,
holy though. I know it's a
you
yellow
don't
one.
guilty of manslaughter just because you drove drunk. So
But
fortunately the jury saw through that and figured that out.
also, as much as I enjoy the dragon breath thing, I don't think it's gonna work against him. I'm pretty sure he would just punish me. It takes too long.
Most famous closing behind Johnny Cochran. If he had claimed that the car does not hit, he must have quit. I always liked the floating bit.
It'd be cool if there was a way to like end up being immune while casting, so you could just continuously cast and not he can't hit you.
Was John wasn't hit. He wasn't hit, and there's just no story
Bare ass feet.
that ever certainly was ever offered. But it's hard to even imagine when it would make sense.
Y'all
where
walking
how does
in
this
there
all
in
get
boots.
that right?
I'm
We
going
get
in
my
barefoot,
dog in
boys.
the middle of all this. Like, you can't reconcile that. The arm was always a problem. But yeah, that would have been an attention getting perhaps a little on the cringe side, I will just say. Yes, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery.
Oh, it's this fucking guy.
Oh, he would have drawn a lot of heat for, are you saying that Karen Reed is like OJ? Let's stay away from that. Sarita Banana, part 2. The one juror said that a few jurors had a disdain for drinking and driving.
That didn't hit him?
That's why the push for OUI included. I never did quite figure out,
Yeah, that thing cooks.
Yeah, incantations are wild, bro. There's a weapon with this on it, and a lot of people use it in fucking PvP. He's coming for me. He's definitely pissed off.
But it seemed like if that was what you're doing, then don't you just
I feel like he's weak to holy though, because he's like an undead thing. But it could be lightning.
It just struck me as a little bit strange that if that was coming from the defense.
Ooh, that's hitting his weak point too. That's perfect. Bong.
Argue that she's not guilty of that too, but I don't know. Jury doesn't know who the source
Yeah, I
is,
went for the hit too.
so it doesn't matter anyway. But yeah, I think that
Revenant with big heavy weapon is just crazy, right?
if the jury is thinking along the lines of, well, she definitely did something negligent
It's definitely the wave.
That's the prong of the manslaughter or vehicle homicide. So then all we have to have with the involuntary manslaughter is just some sort of connection with John being found dead. Could be a little bit risky if we just let them vent their spleen about how they don't like DUI and she shouldn't have done that. Rent it on the DUI charge. So that is possible. That could have been a thought process behind that. Potentially criminal. Are people just afraid of these chicken farming dealers nowadays? I don't know. I wonder if anybody still out there getting wiretapped sidewalk outside of Pizza Place. The Cat 933.
Welcome back.
On to EXX6382. This is a great duo right here. One of the best. I don't think we're going to have to talk about Over. I think we could have a good talk about Over. It'll be really interesting, I think, because I recognize I'm in a minority viewpoint, just generally when it comes to being generally skeptical of the criminal charge. I'm generally going to be skeptical. You're going to need to show. You can show me, then great, I'm going to buy it. But I'll just give you an example. I read the new probable cause affidavit for Gary Warren, the guy over in Colorado, who's accused of his wife, and I see like a big piece of evidence that they have in this indictment or the affidavit, some type of affidavit. Anyway, bam, right, it's this tranquilizer that it's like a prescription for an animal tranquilizer. The deer farmer turns out he's like the only person in Colorado besides the
Okay, I'm coming.
He's gone.
Help is on the way.
And they found trace like residue, trace metabolites and things like that of this dam in Suzanne Hughes' bones.
Save the big boy for the end.
Well, that's extremely compelling evidence. Right? Is it good evidence? Is that good science? I've never heard about getting
Oh, he fucking smashed my ass.
Metabolically, like it's hard for me to make sense of that. Like how would it, if you were
Dodge.
tranquilized like right before your death, how is it going to even be incorporated into your bones? You know, within that time frame, I think that takes some time. So I have to do some homework. I have to look it up. What can you do to test for bones? Test for things in bones. Well, as it turns out, it's in bone marrow. So it's
Fuck, that got me.
The blood system and
It got fucking my boy too.
that
Oof.
makes sense. And now this is once again starting to sound like something a pretty strong case against this guy. So I'm not against. Yeah, people are guilty. People are frequently guilty of things that they're charged with. But it's just my nature to be skeptical and to want to have a lot of questions and want to answer. So I'm going to be very interested to see.
I have one left.
Boy, is kind of a.
I don't think we go for him.
For anybody, you know, anybody who's not
Just keep playing your game. We got the damage.
System hasn't, really made a habit of like being deep on criminal process and criminal charges and criminal cases and forensics and all that type of thing. Like, no, it's just gonna be hitting him like it would hit. I would expect anything at any random member of the public. So having that gauge, I think.
Oh, selfish. I went for the fucking win. Hit him. I could have rolled, but I thought I could hit him.
Another case we want to, or we would like to see get as much attention as possible. I'm gonna have to answer this since we don't have Turtle Boy here anymore to answer this one.
He was literally like a frame or two out of my fucking my hit. He just got outside that shit, outside my range.
And I do not want Richard Allen's case getting attention. The lengths that they are going to prevent this case from getting attention, to prevent the exhibits from being made public, to prevent the transcripts from being timely filed and available, made it such a nightmare to be able to follow the process, to get into the courtroom, have audio recordings of it, but won't let the public hear them. Like, it's just
big old candlestick for the
one
win.
that screams out for attention.
Even though I just threw
not
lightning bolts
because
that
of
entire
the
time.
Crime, how terrible crime, two young girls murdered, unsolved for 5 years, and then out of nowhere, it's the guy who works at the pharmacy down across the street from the sheriff's department that nobody ever suspected, and there's little to no evidence against him. So very, very troubling case. As far as one that of course already went to trial, so can't really achieve that. But as far as one that maybe hasn't been litigated yet, I'd like to see it get attention. Oh, I'm gonna say.
Why don't you like you didn't have to give it to him? You just have like 20 of these motherfuckers in your inventory.
Greenberg. I'd like to learn more about that. I'd like to learn more about that. It's Hell. She's the one that's
Night Rune? Whatever the fuck we give that
was
corpse.
declared suicide with like 40 stab wounds in her or something like that. I mean, it's.
Strength +3.
Cool
down. Fully attack power.
Just look at the situation.
Attack power increased from using grease items.
It's not a suicide.
That could be kind of crazy.
Stabs themselves 40 times in the back.
You just stack grease the whole game, then you come to the final boss and you just fucking grease it up.
Of course, it's a crime. We want to see it
One
solved.
shot the
We want to see
motherfucker.
perpetrator identified and dealt with. But also, I want an explanation for this decision.
Ooh, that could be good. Items transferred to fucking all nearby allies.
Powers
Mind
that be
up.
are expecting me to
Magic attack power.
take my brain and put it to the side and say, well, yes,
I think it's on the
accept that this
weapon,
is a
though. I don't
suicide
think it's
because you
actual.
say so. So those are the answers I have for you, Kat. A more of a lessee. The denial of Erica Walsh's motion is so bad. That shirt was, if the shoe fits, the arrest and denial are both own goals. I have not followed Walsh. Oh wait, this isn't. This is somebody else.
Revenant Remembrance is dog shit.
I think I
Is it?
Erica Walsh.
Yeah, it just says default skin with some blood on them.
Oh, damn.
Oh, she was a protester. Thank you, thank you, thank you. She was the protester. With
Yeah.
the Criminals Control Norfolk County T-shirt.
Because I do.
Thank you.
I don't know why I do.
It was
I have no idea what that is.
bad.
Because it's the night,
I was very
like
glad
the
that the
night
federal
rain,
courts
and I fucking, I don't know. I think that's what my brain's
You
doing
know,
though.
when it comes to,
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah.
to,
Defeat
some
Trialopolis
sort
or
of
Dark
oversight of
Knight,
what
Dark
they're trying
Drift
to do
Knight
with speech restrictions over
in
there
Limville.
Massachusetts.
Isn't that what we just did?
But they shouldn't have to. It's really
Dark Drift Knight,
discouraging
right?
To see
Yeah, no.
the local courts.
That was the one we did first. We did that one, and then we
so
just
ready
did
to
Night
go down
aspect?
this road and so supportive
aspect.
of
Okay. Yeah, I have to beat
what just seemed to me to be such
Trisophilus
obviously
or
problematic
Dark
law
Drift Knight with her.
enforcement decisions here.
That's just that's the remembrance for Revenant for number one.
It was a bad denial. So, but she did.
Oh, bro,
continue to
that's
get
an
the
easy dub.
charges, her charges
Then all you have to do is
dismissed.
win the one after that, and you got your 3 in a row.
At the end of the day, it got to the right place, but it shouldn't have ever had to go through that process. And that's what makes me,
There should be 3 in a row.
you know,
Why'd you win the one before this?
we got a not guilty
thought we
verdict.
did.
It was
No,
the
we
right
sold.
verdict. It's a celebratory move, right? We celebrate.
Our first one, we
justice
sold
when
hard.
get it. But it's been a week now.
We lost to the
We've
fucking
had time to think about the justice we're
the
not
nameless.
getting. And,
True.
looks like
When we were
fun
ranked
and
level
it's gone through
14,
for it,
almost
so,
15.
still having to be subjected to it. Isabel Park, 76.
With that said, though, we did tank a lot of storms, so we didn't walk into that fight full health.
No, we won the last 2 in a row.
Yeah, the last 2 for sure.
My impression of Dr.
Yeah,
Turtleboy is that he's just
we
extremely
lost.
authentic, and
Then
that's
we
always
did-
going
then we
to.
won, and then we won.
If you
Just
get
matches.
attention, you're going to get
Okay.
detractors. Like
So we lost one.
I can't even
This
count
is it,
how many
bro.
times I've
You
read
ready?
somebody commenting on like something Turtleboy said. Oh, you know, I got
Triophilus.
this great, but I just can't.
That's
handle
an
your
easy one.
delivery. I don't like your, I don't like. If you would just do
No,
things
I'm
like
not-
this,
no,
and everybody
I'm
wants to micromanage him. I'm telling you right now, if Turtleboy tried to like follow everybody's instructions and please every critic, he wouldn't be as good as what he does. He's not
This is
himself.
3
and
minutes.
not
This is final
everybody is
day.
going to like you.
So,
Not everybody's going to like what you have to say. That's the beauty of the First Amendment, and it's why we have it in the first place. People can speak freely, and you can decide. Is this somebody I want to
I swore we
Is
sold.
this somebody I want around or not? Is this somebody whose opinion I value or not? And people can make their own decisions. As soon as you start shutting people up, then you don't even know who people really are. So there's a huge value in free speech, just from a social perspective. But yeah, there's always going to be people that take what you say, twist what you say, don't like what you say, wield it against you, that type of thing. You can't worry about that type of thing, and certainly don't get the impression he's worried about it at all. Sarah B. Creative for another public interruption. Swords crossed. Thank you, Sarah. In lieu 17, we have the First Amendment for a reason. It's because many people during and prior to the revolution had to use pseudonyms so they wouldn't get arrested or worse. Emotional harm should never be in that statute. Yeah, we forget about the long and storied history of the Massachusetts press when it comes to standing up against tyranny. When I said that Isaiah Thomas arguably won the Revolutionary War, what I meant by that, Isaiah Thomas was a publisher who fled Boston and ended up in Worcester, conveniently enough, and was essentially like the first wartime correspondent during the American Civil War. And yeah, you have to flee Boston as a reporter back in the Revolutionary War period if you're not going to be supportive of the British government. There's going to be a target on you. They're going to come after you. They're going to come after your property. They're going to come after your family, your livelihood, possibly your life. And so yeah, the pamphleteers were another big part of the movement to get the truth out. Make sure that people know
double
what's
executor.
happening. The press served an extremely important role.
That's
in
kind of like
that
having a
time
tank.
period of keeping morale up and stuff like that, but also just making sure that people have
Is
a
that
real clear
Executor's
view of
Remembrance
what the
skin that you're wearing?
operations are gonna be, because here's what the people are doing. Here's what the troops are doing.
Just one of the ones that are like.
Here's what we're seeing.
35,000.
So here's what you can expect if they show up on your doorstep.
It's the dark one.
Really, really important role that the medium has always played, and so we're in a different era now. We have a very different media now, and I can't help but notice how it's not the mainstream people that are the threat to the powers that be. It's the Dr. Turtle Boys. It's the independent folks, the folks that aren't beholden to the system, that don't benefit from the certain privileges that they might get, like when you have reporters privileges, you don't have to turn over your sources, you have to reveal where you get your information from and stuff like that. You get special access maybe to court, to politicians, to you get tips, like all that thing. It's just creates a little bit of a system where the incentives are shifted compared to what they were. And the incentives of the mainstream are not so much to challenge the powers that be at this point in time. So we do indeed have the First Amendment for
the treasure. There's treasure by the church over here
powers
too.
that be in Canton, Massachusetts would have us believe. Look at what they would have us believe if they had the power to make us believe it and to not shut up. Be able to make us
the one that has the key?
so that we can't share that with other people. But one thing I meant to bring up during the interview and I forgot, I'll have to bring it up next time, is that one of the
I do have a key.
things that
Found another one.
was so important about what Dr. Turtle was doing with his reporting, it's called the preference cascade. The preference cascade is this idea that kind of came out of the Soviet Russia, where if you don't know what other people think and you know that there is resistance to your idea, like maybe you don't like the person that's in office, maybe you don't like the system.
Don't you hide from us,
You're not
Golem?
gonna like it if you say that. You don't know if anybody else agrees with you. Then shut up, because you're gonna be afraid. But as soon as you
Sling
realize,
darkness.
actually everybody else feels exactly the same way that I do, then people become less afraid to speak. And so they call it preference cascade, where it shifts from thinking I'm alone to realizing like everybody is on the same.
Where are we going,
page as
Green
me.
Mark?
And so I feel
Let's
like
keep
that's
hitting
part
shot along the way.
of what Turtle Boy did in this case is he made it okay. He made it safe for people
Where's
to say,
the
yeah,
blue?
you know what, I do have questions. Yeah, you know what, these people do look shady. Yeah, you know what,
That's
I
in the same
think this is
direction as green
bullshit.
anyway.
And I think this isn't fair because they didn't have to feel alone and wonder if if they were going to be.
Like I kind of always like when I pick her, I want to fuck with her starting weapon, but then like I eventually find like a purple weapon. I'm like, absolutely not. I'm dropping this shit. Like I was just running the poison and rot shit, and it's like, yo, oh shit, that's.
Donna Rash X6811. Guys, my apologies. I think YouTube is doing.
We get the projectile drop off, extra damage with arrows. Talisman, the first one, you're not running fucking, dude. It's crazy.
Our forefathers fought for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Do not let them take away what so many fought and died for. Here, here.
Open the original.
Oh, dude, we stopped for a boss.
Oh, damn.
It takes dedication and commitment to sustain a democracy. I mean, that's why one of my favorite quotations from the time period of the revolution was, pretty sure it was Benjamin
Stop for the flower?
Now I hope I don't have that wrong. I'm pretty sure it was Benjamin Franklin, but he was asked after the Constitution had been
I don't know if I call that a boss, but it drops shit.
And he was asked upon leaving what form of government he decided on. He said a republic if we could keep it. And I think that's such an important perspective because it's so easy to be tempted into tyranny.
I hit the jump.
Who doesn't want to be the one?
The stream.
Power is very tempting.
Slipstream.
It can be very, very corrupting to people.
Spirit jump.
So it takes discipline to resist that and to recognize
I hit the EAC.
that, oh, actually that's maybe a door I don't want to open because, maybe today I get to be the tyrant, but
Oh,
I'm
you
not.
killed my boy?
What if I get overthrown? What if someday
Meet Helen.
What if my I'm not political.
Oh, damn. Relax, okay?
But I have concerns about kind of what I see in the gestalt, the ether, if you will. And it just concerns me sometimes that it seems
Helen
like
owned them.
people
Good job, Helen.
advocate for things that seem like a really good idea at the time. Like, I don't know, I'll just throw out there ending the filibuster,
Maximum
right? Because it's
stamina.
going to get us what we want, and it'll be great. And it's like we forget, we've got such a short attention span, you forget that in, you know, maybe just a few years, the tables are going to turn, and you're not going to be the one in power anymore.
Right
Now you've
outside
undone this convention, and now that's going to benefit the people that you were trying to take that power away from. So those kind of dynamics are present all the time.
I figure we hit the church and then go to blue, right?
Resisting to try to maintain a democratic republic. So, hope we can maintain it. I do. We've got a good run so far, right? To truth for liberty. It's easier to go to jail for journalism than most people think. The corporate media don't usually because, you know why? Yeah, we do. We do. Yeah, we do. This whole idea of, like, knocking on a door to ask somebody questions, being witness intimidation, this is wild for me because I remember standing in the line at Delphi, and it was pretty early on. I think it was even during jury selection because we were over in Allen County. And at this point, it's mostly the press, and it's a lot of younger reporters that are showing up. And you talk to people and hear conversations and things like that. And I remember hearing some of the younger reporters talking about how you know they'd gotten the early assignment to go out and knock on the Patty's door, knock on Kathy Allen's door, like go and knock on the door.
I got giant red lightning now.
That's what reporting has been for hundreds of years, if not longer. Go knock on the door to ask questions. Like, when on earth did that become a crime? Well, it became a crime when it became threatened. So.
They gave me charged incantations. I gotta take it.
3605, super sticker. Appreciate that. And Cat Randall has gifted a membership. Thank you, Cat Randall. We appreciate your support. Heavy Metal Rehab. Please, Aiden, when your trial is over, can you please help us shed light on Rick Allen's trial injustices? Aiden knows about Rick Allen's case. I do happen to know that. So we'll see. He's got a lot on his mind, and like I said, pretty much every accused person on the planet from now on is gonna be like, how do I get a Turtle Boy on the case? It's gonna be guys. But it was a terrible case, terrible injustice. Really could have used somebody like him. Melissa Hendricks 3219. They have to get the heat off, so they have to shut Turtle Boy up. How far will they go now that Karen Reed is free? Think about it. You need to keep showing up for justice.
So we're going Castle, and we're gonna hit a Never Jail tomorrow, or
he described it as kind of having two options, right? Maybe we'll just let it fade away. We'll go ahead and drop it. There's no political implication.
so you want to just go? Do you have another key?
So we can back out of it.
Yeah, I have another one as well.
Or we're gonna double down. And I gotta tell you, I know which one I would bet on. I know which one I would bet on.
It's the Revenant.
Double down and double down and double down and triple down in the Karen Reed
It's usually that dude that crawls on the ground.
How many millions have they spent now? Doubling down on this ridiculous theory that from day one is always going to be rebutted by the fact that the guy's arm is chewed up by a dog. And so that does concern me. You know, a big part of it is the process of punishment. So even if they know they can't win, would they still do it just to get their town play? That's the impression I got. I hope that's not the case. I hope I'm not being unduly pessimistic, but yeah, I understand Aiden being concerned. I would definitely be concerned if I were in his shoes. And I think he still got a road ahead of him. Difficult road. Claude Simeon. Are you picky about your Manhattans? Favorite whiskey, vermouth, bitters, ratio, sipping scotch, Nolan, Angostura? Curious about your preference. I'm not super picky about my Manhattans, other than just I want it to actually be a Manhattan. And so it's typically when I make one, it's about 2 shots of whiskey and about half a shot of vermouth, and then just a little splash of bitters. I usually use Angostura bitters, but if I'm gonna get creative with anything in Manhattan, it's probably going to be.
Oh, it's Crucible nights too. Nice.
Vermouth is vermouth, and I'm not enough of a whiskey connoisseur to really have a strong preference there. I do typically get a rye just because it's conventional, so like I'm going to order in a bar, I'll probably pull it. That's because I have a strong preference, just because that's what I know. So hey, if you got suggestions for how to dial up a Manhattan, drop them. I'd love to hear them. Onto PXX6382. Rip baby flying topics in our hearts and minds. I'll pass this one along. Onto PXX6382. Yeah, at this point, all Aiden's done forever. The freedom guaranteed. You have to step up. All BS aside, he would have done it for any of us. He did it for guaranteed. Yeah, I think he would have. It doesn't sound like a situation at all where there was anything personal here. There was no connection. It was a story. It was a wrong. It got his attention. It shouldn't be about that. And I think that is a little bit of the takeaway. Is that if they could do this to Karen, we wouldn't do it to anybody. Okay, her wealth didn't protect her. Her status didn't protect her. Her lack of criminal history didn't protect her. Her race didn't protect her. Her gender didn't protect her. All these things that tend to typically keep you out of the criminal justice system.
Please.
They didn't protect her at all. So no matter how safe you think you might be,
pick it up right away.
Neighborhood,
He might have.
Yeah, this is why it's a little alarming. You just be in the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong people, and it could be you too. Onto PXX6382 Solidarity. For that. Sarah B. Creative. This is historical. Love to you both.
What a dick.
Very kind word. I thought it was such a great conversation. I read some of Aiden's stuff, watched some of the.
You can't die, so just full send it.
Follow or anything like that, and so it was just a great opportunity, I thought, to kind of get to know how this happened. I mean, I'm still shocked. I'm still shocked to realize it's basically just over 2 years. How much?
That's not the sword I wanted.
Just over 2 years. That was a busy, very transformative.
Was it gold or something?
So,
the sword?
Enjoyed the chance to have that chat. Ms. Jules FL, thank you for
why the fuck would you want incantation?
Like I said in the description.
He just dropped a purple
right
sword.
I don't think any of us would have heard about this case if it weren't for him. Maybe some of the local folks, maybe even in Massachusetts.
And it doesn't even make sense to really have a sword with that guy. Like, you're gonna use the fucking executioner.
I really doubt it. I mean, we'll never know. You can't live the counterfactual, but I definitely think that.
Yeah, I'll grab the other one.
It was just his impact on what happened with this case. Just you can't overstate it. It was significant, his influence. So just intrigued to learn more about it. I keep thinking about it. What does it mean? Where is this going to go? Is this going to change? Is this going to change how cases are defended? Is there going to be a little bit more comfort with going ahead and telling your story?
Yeah, I'm probably gonna switch the staff to the offhand when I run the mage, so I get soul land crits.
Not necessarily just sit back and let the prosecution.
It's probably just a better strategy because you could still cast both with your offhand.
Accusation against you, and then you just have to sit there on your hands and take it.
I was about to grab this fucking weapon, but improve incantations is too much.
The Bill of Rights exists for a reason. There's a great line from the movie The American President about freedom of speech. True to boy style isn't my cup of tea, but the Commonwealth's style is abhorrent. The Commonwealth is supposed to occupy the high ground. That's the whole point, and that's what the system is based on. You know, again, now there's another Revolutionary War era person, a founder who I can't remember who it was that said it, but talked about how the country is only going to work if it's got a moral foundation. If you don't have a moral foundation to your democracy, it's going to decay. It's going to degrade. It's going to be just corrupted, taken over by vice and greed and ambition. And unfortunately, maybe that was prophetic. You know, I don't know that it's inevitable. I don't know that we're stuck with it. And I still see what's happening in Massachusetts, what's happening here in this case, what's happening in Canton. It is, even on a small scale, it's a little bit revolutionary. It's recognizing, okay, maybe this cycle has brought us back around to where our democracy has become our tyrant, and so time to do some overthrowing again. You know, as long as the system can keep itself in check and hopefully not harm too many people in the process, then maybe that's just the best that we can hope for. You know, we can't expect everybody to be saints, everybody to be angels, everybody to come into public office with the purest of motives and to exercise their power with restraint and wisdom. Mistakes are always going to be made. But I'm choosing to look at what has been going on in Canton as optimistic. That yeah, systems can be corrupted, but it doesn't have to last. We don't have to tolerate it. I want to see where it goes. I would love to come back. I'd love to come back in like 3 years.
Hey, it's our boy. I covered him in darkness. I hit him with that Charlie Murphy.
John Adams, thank you, Jeff. Jeff gives me the best notes in the private chat. John Adams, a key figure in the American Revolution and the second U.S. president in the proud Massachusetts, is often associated with the idea that a moral foundation is essential for a country's governance. In the 1798 letter to the Massachusetts militia, he wrote, "Our Constitution was made only for a moral and righteous religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government." Erica in real time. Don't you think she, Karen, did the interviews? I don't know, you know. There's all these strange rules apparently about
Easy choice.
when a production can like pay for interviews and when they can't, and I think it has to do to some extent with like how it's
back to the castle. Oh, hey, yeah.
What is it? What is this?
You gonna kill this dragon?
Media supposed to be? Is it supposed to be journalistic? Is it supposed to be something else? I don't know. But to the extent that these were intended to be journalistic productions, passion is.
Oh, he got me. He tail whipped my ass.
As far as like the documentary and stuff like that, I don't know. I did always kind of wonder about that because it makes sense. It makes sense. She needs resources. She's getting trained. Look at all these people she had to hire.
Actually, I think this does more attack damage against dragons.
It makes sense that she would need the money.
Ooh.
But I don't know. You know, if you need the money, but it costs you your freedom, how are you going to come down on that calculus?
You fucking bitch.
She did sell her rights to her story. So there's going to be a movie.
You bring that bitch ass back down here.
You should let us know. But I guess, you know, it doesn't have to be just one thing. It can be multiple things. Just don't think you would talk if you didn't want to be heard. I do take Karen at face value in that sense. That the reason why she wants to do the interviews is because she's had to sit there and shut up. Everybody else gets to talk. Everybody else gets to, you know, put what they want in the media and get their press releases.
I am, yeah.
Like that. And she's just got
Literally, I was just thinking the same thing. Oh, it's one of these guys. Get jumped.
I don't know, Eric Clark, 5542, the First Amendment is not for speech that everyone agrees with, it's for the rest. 100 billion percent this. Thank you for saying this. This is similar to an idea that I saw once that really resonated with me, which is that the criminal justice system, it's not something that we have to protect us from criminals. It's something that we have to protect the criminals from us.
Alright, watch out, he's gonna fly back down and piss me off.
Lynch them and do all the things and catch them.
That's what he did all about.
I fucking knew it. Like, there's no way he wasn't gonna do that.
We don't do that. So that's we maintain moral high ground.
Yeah, look at the big pumpkin head. Take that. Look at him again. Take this again. You're gonna get easy clapped. I'm pretty sure this red lightning does more damage to dragons. Ooh. I don't think he likes the red lightning. Because he's got chills. And they're multiplying.
But isn't, you know, unconstitutional. It isn't,
Frenzy Flame.
defamation, true threats, fighting words, all the classic, you know, exceptions that we hear about. That
Lightning talons. Like the talons feel like they go for her
there
too.
is some specific harm, some serious harm, you that can flow from that type of speech. But it's not very many things. It's not very many things. Yeah. It's for the stuff you don't agree with. And back in the day, that used to be, you know, really well understood. Back when the ACLU represented Nazis. You know? There's such a strange era now when it comes
I don't know
to,
where he thought he was going.
the policing of speech, not policing, cancel culture, all that stuff. I
Two-handing,
feel like we're
rot
starting to
produces
come out of
Mrs.
that.
Scarlet. No.
You can say retard again.
Okay, calm the fuck down.
Just charged
But
incantations.
I'm kind of concerned for some time that maybe we're losing a sense of why the First Amendment matters. Why should we be giving this grace to speech that we don't agree with, that we don't like?
I saw another key, right? Is there another key? No, I opened that one. Yeah, I knew we had a key.
And it comes back around to me. This idea that if people are free to talk, then you will see who they are, and you can decide for yourself. Is this who I want to be around? Is this who I want to associate with? If you force people to shut up, you might have Hitler over
Oh,
them,
trash.
and you wouldn't even know.
He only had the bow.
You wouldn't even know. So I hope that the tide,
Zone's coming in.
has been turning a little bit in favor of more and more restriction and self-censorship and even to some extent external censorship. You know, just things you can't say, or you'll lose your job, or you'll get kicked off of the platform, you know, whatever. It seems like maybe we turned the corner around that. I very much hope that that's the case. On to PXX 36382, murders
Actual,
mothers
here
have
we
more
go.
sympathy for their own sons.
Here comes my ult.
Than she had empathy for I think you're talking about a murder's mother. I feel bad for murder's mothers. Honestly, like probably lots of people do. If you stop and think about it.
I guess improved
That's one of the
physical
things that
attack
people
power,
don't tend
'cause I
to
do
stop and think
both.
about a murderer's mother. It's very easy to think about the
It
victim.
was like 10,000 or more damage. I'm like, more damage, sir.
Feel bad for them. But family of murderers, and they're like completely unseen in their pain. They've gone through a massive trauma.
Oh,
and
death
grief
ray?
as well, and they don't get a lot of sympathy for that. Yeah, they do. They do. It's amazing. That's what mothers are made to do. Is love their children, no matter what. Jennifer Hill, 6984. Karen Reed may not be able to sit in court right now because she needs to recover from the trauma of the past 2.5 years. Yeah, possibly. Something I thought about a lot is what this experience has been like for Karen, and just the fact that
Just found out incantations are not good for resin. No, I just used it in the last fight. Got stomped on. I thought he did for a second too.
I try not to judge her too hard in the interviews and things like that. How does she come across? Is she cold? Like Aiden mentioned, she comes across as
He didn't want
cold.
this fight.
Seems like maybe it doesn't help her much, and
He did leave.
completely.
He said, "Fuck
of
us."
course, legitimate viewpoint. But I tend to cut her.
I guess he's just playing range.
None of that was her choice.
He did sell out though. I won't forget that.
Have to be where she needs to look out for her own self, her own security.
If I knew we were gonna fight this, I would have saved my ult.
Before she really has the space to be able to focus on the rest of it. So I'm sure it's been an extremely difficult process. And there's still I would expect a lot for her to need to be able to get through.
That's the move.
Yeah, nuclear assassination. I don't know what it's actually called.
It would be a big show of support. Rose Maria Tardo, 212. I've really been enjoying this live interview with Dr. Berkeley. Thank you for being very proud of people. I mean, it's about 11,000 people there at one point in time. So
This is a faster attack. Little sword.
Deborah is being wrongly used as a scapegoat. Two wrongs don't make a right. Karen Reed and Kelly Deborah victimized.
Oh, fucking tell me that zone. Oh, no fucking way.
How Kelly Deborah
And it's making me
Just take it at
crawl
face
the
value.
wrong
She told
fucking
us
way,
in her
you
own words,
piece
my
of
body
shit.
depends on what I say tunes. You can certainly read into
Yeah.
what that means, but even if you don't, you just take it at face value. It's an enormous amount of pressure for her to
You're a
answer.
fucking hero.
For what? For having reported what she thought was
What
wrong.
is going on?
Uh,
I can't. It's much harder for me to sympathize with the attitude that she brought to
Ruining
it.
shit.
yo. He dead ass is. He's like, how many wins do you got? Yeah, let me,
You have to be so optimistic and
let me
so
grief your
optimistic.
shit real quick.
You have to see them as the enemy. You should have to see this.
Alright, runes are not on the
process
ground though.
as
That's a good sign.
some
I have my ult
performance,
now.
you know, that she
That
needed
makes
to
it a little
succeed
better. Like literally, I was about to use it on you as I went down
I
the
don't
storm.
hold Kelly Dever responsible for what the Boston Police Department commissioner calling her in and
Of course, there's no fucking super jump right here.
really don't hold that against her. But she has
It's
her
like,
own
yeah,
choice
waste your
about
time
what she
climbing.
wanted to do with that.
Go get your runes from Deathrite Bird.
She did make her choice.
I tried to,
She did
and
make
I
her
died.
choice. Yeah, possible
Did you
it's
not
not
get your
false
runes?
memory.
I
Also
did,
possible
but
that it wasn't. I don't know the answer, but it does seem like an awfully specific memory to have to just be.
Well, we can't go down now
Out of the ether.
while my ult's active.
Lori G911, Dr. Aiden is an energizer buddy. He keeps coming and going. I am enjoying the two of you very much. Just put your hand up and say time. I love when people go ahead and just, their period of Facebook. I understand. I can ask a question once in a while, but somebody has done it.
Yeah, with our ultimates combined.
What will that mean in a way? Just glad he chose to come here. Two Truth for Liberty. Turtle Boy, contact me about Kelly Dever. I have real journalism info that you ought to know. I will see if I can pass that along.
Yeah, where we going? The fucking the church?
I'm former,
I mean,
and
the
if there
castle?
wasn't a reason before not to like PD or trust an officer,
Crucial.
she is the poster child.
Hell yeah.
of her.
We're going right upstairs.
She made her own decision with how to present herself. With just the
I want to
affect
go in the
that she
basement
brought.
first.
That
They
was
already
a
did it,
choice.
but
That was not something that was forced on
there's
her.
a
That was not something
talisman
that she was
chest over
victimized by.
Hey, okay.
That was her decision
What's it called?
to come in and
A knight there as well.
extremely hostile, accusatory, and all of that. Make it clear that she had picked a side and she was on side. It made her
Level
look
12.
untrustworthy.
Hopefully we could get at least a couple of these guys killed.
It's unfortunate, but I think that was her own choice. Lazy LP7I. Hey Andrea, spent every day with you on the trial. This is so awesome. Justice for Turtle Boy. I'm glad you were here with us. I'm glad we got to do this little get a little bit of a perspective on
Yo, the incantations just fucking do so much work though. It's crazy.
first trial to the second trial. How does it evolve over the course of the case? I mean, that's what's so valuable about Aiden for me. Since I was
want
not
successive
Johnny
attacks?
When the first trial started. Really not followed much of the pre-trial at all. And so Aiden, just having so much of that information about the history of the case.
Yeah,
and the
he's a gobbler, so
investigation,
you know he will fucking
that
snatch
for me
that
is,
shit right out.
Very, very valuable. Lazy LP7I. Don't fight with Andrea. She's a boxer. Oh, well. If you are interested in being punched in the face, essentially, please feel free. Jane Assuming 265. I thought it was rich for Buchanan to cite free speech as an excuse
Melted.
for disgraced former trooper Proctor's act. Such a good point.
Zone's coming
Such
in.
a good point. Wasn't that ironic? He's not even going to call Proctor. He's not going to say like he lacks integrity.
It's sorcerers.
He's got free speech. Nothing wrong with any of that. He's got free speech. Employees. Employer and put restrictions on this. There's a lot of gray areas for a lot of this. Your employer is. What are you talking about? Like, can law enforcement put down a rule that says you don't get to talk about private case information with your buddies who aren't in law enforcement? Yeah, 1,000,000% they can, Yuri. You know that perfectly well. It's not free speech.
Do we get it?
It's not free speech.
If you could bring them off.
Very unwisely, too.
Really no point.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty rich too.
It's not worth taking all that damage and losing this next fight.
It kind of speaks to the brazenness that that Aiden was talking about, you know, and that's the reason for the outrage. I can see that because there was so much.
Because we're gonna beat this boss.
Of this whole trial, there was so much denial and gaslighting.
Like the final boss. Like I don't think we need to be level 15.
Treating us like we're too stupid to see with our own eyes. Man's arm was
It's like the easiest one.
He did not get hit by a car. And then everything that just
smithing
stemmed from
stone.
that, everything that flowed downstream from that. Karen's taking 12 drinks at CF McCarthy's, and you know,
homie had that
never plowed the road, never plowed
higher
the
attack
road.
power at full health.
So much bullshit that they expected us to swallow because they said so. And it's that
Alright.
that
You got those hands on you, bro.
accusing others of what they're doing.
But
It's just always such a hell. It's always such a hell. Oh, the defense is being shady and hiding things.
Oh, it grabbed me.
disclosing things.
Spiked my ass on the ground too.
That lost Candace Halford video or whatever the latest story is. It's just crazy. And so I wonder if this is like part of that same craziness. You know perfectly well they're going after Dr. Turtleboy for free speech. Why don't we just go ahead and co-opt that and turn the power around too?
Hey, what's up, bro?
I will post information about the Never topic to this video if the video allows, and censorship you won't want it, but it will be there. Put it in the comments if you can. I don't have a problem with it in the comments. I don't think that the chat allows links. It's not something that I do. It's just how it's made. I think you might be able to put it in the comments. I don't have any problem with that.
Oh, we just killed Frederick with one attack.
The reaction to the jurors has the odor of mendacity. Some good words. The reaction to the jurors has the odor of mendacity. To me, it just goes.
That was for Frederick.
That,
I'm gonna run out there and get that flask.
it's more. This is like confession by projection in reverse, right? Because remember how much we heard about the jury is saying the jury has to be. Aiden's
Like
gonna
at the church?
The jury, and we got to protect the jury and all this stuff, and then suddenly you get
Alright, fuck it.
Suddenly now all the jurors are targets. It's just wild. It really is. It's just a crazy thing to see for me how easy certain folks can just turn on a dime when it comes to principle. It's because there is no principle. I mean that's why. That's the bottom line. There is no principle. It's just power, the outcome that they want. And so they'll use principle for manipulation when it suits them. How many times did we hear? Shame on you for questioning the official narrative. Don't you realize you're hurting the victims? It's all just about power and control. It really is. It's about power and control. And so much telling on themselves. You know? The jury is completely foreseeable, honestly. Completely foreseeable that was going to happen. The same people that are like,
Did we just fucking
clutching at
game?
their pearls that Kara Reed
Yeah.
is speaking.
That's not a bad move, that's for sure.
Absolutely clutching their pearls about that. Well, in the meantime, who's the DA? Who's the DA interested in people with reach? Why is the DA interested in people with reach? Talk about the Commonwealth's perspective on social media. It's not a confession by projection, guys. The reaction to the jurors is just kind of like, you know, flip that backwards, okay? do it in reverse order.
Drops Tyler's shirt.
Hey, give me that fucking sword too.
Turtleboy and Karen Reed of having
No,
that
mine
type of
too.
negative intention towards the jurors because they
Yeah.
themselves have it.
Here, I got these for you.
Aceable OA music. I'm my best with that one. Question: how was the video time lapse not an issue? It wasn't argued much. It didn't seem to shock anyone, and I genuinely thought it could lead to the dismissal of the trial. The video time lapse, do you need the 43 seconds or 43 minutes that were deleted? Sallyport, 43 minutes that were deleted. It, you know, did come up in the first trial, but I guess it didn't really get super focused on there either. The first trial, of course, was far more focused on the cover-up than the second trial was.
He dropped the improved incantation sword.
Focus much more on just the collision, all this other stuff that's collateral.
And it's the best weapon I have. That's crazy.
Just bad police work following up on it. Possible corruption, but
about damn
not necessarily
time.
something we're going to bend over backwards and try to convince you is what happened. But even in the first trial,
I'm dropping another flesh if you want it.
The other way thing. That was Alan Jackson's closing. They want you to ignore all of these problems, the inverted video, the missing 43 minutes, all of that sort of thing. What was their explanation?
It's crazy. I have like an infinite fireball fucking spell. One of my best fucking incantation thing.
And the whole problem here with all of this was that, you know, it didn't get preserved.
Like I just throw like I'm like a fucking flamethrower.
For the, you know, forensically sound copy.
I'm gonna make it hot. Hot.
Because that would provide, you know, possibly some information.
Oh, so hot.
Is it in fact missing?
It's at least 16 Kurks.
Was it edited? What can you tell from the metadata? What can you tell from the video itself?
His
so
biggest
really
shit.
Any way to counter,
It's still the record. Because
Because
Bono is the biggest shit.
That's why they chose not to pursue that further. But we knew perfectly well Judge Bev wasn't going to do anything about it because she just, you know, dismissed all that outright. Oh, well, Karen's getting a new trial anyway. So let them poison the well as many times as they want and they can just keep coming back because the remedy is a new trial. Horrifying would not be the case in some courts.
We're gonna start with Helen. Let's see what they got, Helen.
Serena Banana, thank you, Aiden. Keep trucking up that trailer of public production. We could push you with your heart. Jessica Rachel, good use for thought and marketing discussion.
Well, I forgot that he had like the sword.
Ooh. Real interview on the channel. Like, how do people on the floor other than Reddit not a lot? And Ian come on just kind of randomly during Wi-Fi because he's the gun guy and he had some just absolutely insane ballistics after that. And it was firearm evidence. So I had to talk about that. And then I did less of an interview and more like a joint presentation in Bolelli. Standing here is Rick.
Make it rain, I'm melting them.
Damn. That was the first time I got hit.
You almost did that shit clean.
Almost.
You sure rolled into him, bro. Or parried that shit. You had options. Blade fragment. Let's go.
At the same time, yeah, it seems like there is starting to be a shift. 5 years ago, Adam Waldman is getting picked off the case
Oh, I got the achievement.
tiptoe around being able
3 in
to
a row?
reveal information about
Clean.
the allegations against his clients. Being
Well,
able to defend his client's reputation in the press.
Yeah, 100%,
Not
bro.
just have to,
Feels good.
sit back and take it until you get your day in court. And now here we are 5 years later, and you had Brian Friedman, like, creating a website for Justin Baldoni, and that whole dispute. Things have really started to take a turn, and
To the book.
again, I think that what Turtle Boy did in this
Actually,
case,
to Guardian.
it's pretty revolutionary. Not just
I'm done. I'm gonna call it.
reporting.
All right, bro.
Reporting is old.
GG's.
Is not anything new. But the attention he was able to get on it, and then the action he was able to organize around it. That's really the big deal. And that's where the
All right, bro. Have a nice night.
That's what's so threatening to the
Peace,
powers
buddy.
that be.
Peace out.
That if this person can motivate
Peace.
and mobilize people to go out and speak and be heard and try to influence.
Always ready to fight. Our foes have proven relentless.
Your condition has worsened. There's only so much that can be hidden. We'll have to do something about that. We need to think of something. Listen carefully. Your condition, the contamination, it's spreading. If it continues, you'll be swallowed by the night again. You must conquer this fear of the night. You might say the words, but deep down, you do not believe them. Go to see the witch. She should be able to help. Go to see the witch.
the contamination. Yes, those who have surrendered themselves to the night even once are powerless to resist its allure. The night within thee hath begun to fester. Whether or not it can be kept in check is entirely dependent upon thee. Please sit when thou art sure of mine. Please sit. Close thine eyes. Find the thing of which thou art afeard. Thou wert successful, I surmise. Well done.
No task is too great or small. I'm all ears. Should you have anything at all,
Dolly, dear, Thou shouldst by now have ascertained that which thou must face. Wilt thou the truth uncover upon the next attempt? Yes. A fine girl thou art. Please, sit. Close thine eyes. Find the thing thou hast hidden.
Revenant story is probably the best.
Not without
That's pretty
fault
dope.
in the
Thou art good to thy word, my dear. So, what is thy desire? Indeed, though scattered thou wast, thou art now whole. All is well.